No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today I'm bringing you a conversation that a lot of people probably thought they would never see on this platform. I got the man himself, Bozo.
Thank you.
In here.
Appreciate you, Bobo.
How you doing, G?
Great. Absolutely great. Blessed like a motherfucker.
What changed that made you decide that you wanted to come have this conversation?
Thinking like a businessman. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, because I have a professional life aside from this, right? Mm-hmm. So in business, it's like you don't always necessarily understand the perception or intentions of somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. Until it affects your wallet or your pocket. Mm-hmm. If it makes sense to you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that, I feel like if we're, we dudes like me that have such a street history, we get so caught up in like the emotional side of decisions, right? Mm-hmm. Because most decisions that we have to do come about the fear of either losing respect or the possibility to gain respect. You understand what I'm trying to say? If it makes any sense to you. So to me, it's one of the things where it's like, if I'm looking at things from your perspective, you understand what I'm saying? Like, if I put myself in your shoes, then that changes the reasoning of a lot of things, if it makes sense to you. Opposed to like you, or let's say you put yourself in my shoes. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that that as Hispanics from LA coming into the music business or the social media platform business, we need to understand that the rules that we live by and apply to us on the block, we can't necessarily push into the industry always. You know what I mean? Because it creates some professionalism, right? I mean, it comes off kind of like us trying to maybe impose our will into a business accolade that doesn't neither care for that or it doesn't fit appropriately into that. You know what I mean?
My thing is, I feel like if we have differences, if we're not seeing eye to eye on shit, that probably shouldn't really like stop us from having a conversation, unless it rises to the occasion of
disrespect.
Very serious shit. Yeah, like even surface level disrespect, I still feel like there's always a lot of room to have a conversation. I've also been in, situations where somebody gets hurt or somebody has something really bad happen to them, and then it's like, oh, we've officially crossed the line of this ever being a situation where we could have a conversation. But let's be honest, like, when it comes to most of this podcast shit, it doesn't usually get to that level.
Well, it shouldn't. Yeah, it shouldn't, because at that point it's documented. You know what I mean? And then, Big Brother's always watching, so we both gonna lose. But another thing that I want to say is that at the end of the day, like, if I'm to be completely honest, you always been respectful, like even with the incident with American Chore, like we disagreed at the beginning, but then you agreed, and we ended up in a mutual agreement. And then a lot of people don't know, when that fake audio was going on around me, you reached out to me privately on your own before exploiting the situation, which you could have. You understand what I'm saying? But as a man, you reached out to me, and that resonated with me. That made me sit back and think to myself, like, well, actions speak louder than words, right? So that action in itself translated to me pretty heavy. You know what I'm saying? I said, oh, like, I might have misjudged this man. You feel what I'm saying? Because of what I see on YouTube or through other people's eyes. You feel what I'm saying? So that really resonated with me, like I said, and it just put me somewhere else mentally. No,
I appreciate that, because that was like sort of a odd situation to have somebody kind of like almost. It wasn't like they were just sending it to me. They were sending it to me, and then my first response was like, nah, it doesn't seem right. Yeah. And even if it seemed more right, like even if it was a little bit more convincing, my attitude would have been like, this is an accusation that is deserving of a full throttle investigation. Like, maybe if I could speak, or if I were to see a video of the alleged victim speaking on it, then that would maybe be like a little bit more convincing. If there was a criminal investigation, if there was maybe other YouTubers who are already like speaking out about it, then maybe we could have a conversation about it. But like my instinct, because we've been in situations where we've kind of like put news out that didn't end up being true. So I have all these like blockades in my brain of like not wanting to make
with trial and error.
the same mistakes.
Yeah, trial and error, you know what I mean, kicks in. But yeah, but I appreciate that, you know, and like I said, you know, you got to give respect where respect is given, you know.
Right, definitely. Well, I feel like you guys are in kind of like a similar situation to what we hear about a lot of like black rappers, gang members talk about, which is that like you have the rules of how things are supposed to be that have been passed down for decades and decades, and then you have the incentives of what does well on the internet.
Yeah,
and there's like a constant conflict because people want to diss people want to like go crazy, record fights, you know, do whatever kind of dramatic because it performs well online. But then, you know, the one thing that whenever you talk to somebody who's just got out doing a long time in prison, they always say like, those Southsiders, man, they got a good program. Like there's such like a level of respect for how things are done within that community. But then when it comes to the internet, it's like the old school ways are just trying to constrain the modern incentives.
Well, I mean, I think well, listen, let me ask you something. You know, we can't give away our secrets, right? Because that's what gives us our merit. You understand what I'm saying? Like we can't exploit it to the point where it's like there's nothing else to tell. You know what I mean? So what you don't know is what creates the aura behind us. You know what I'm saying? And it gives us like that integrity, and it gives us that mysterious secret that everybody wants to know about. So I think that it's important for us to protect our culture and protect our secrets. Well, because at the end of the day, it's like, yes, we're entertainers now, right? Us that rap and all that shit. But at the end of the day, we're not the ones that are gonna get suffer the consequences of somebody instigating a war online. You know what I mean? If it makes sense to you, like I'm not frontlining no more with my little homies. You know, I'm not out there 24/7 with them on the block. I've outgrown that shit, and not only that, I have suffered the consequences of it. Like I did 10 years, and I did 4 years before that, and I did 2 years before that, and I did a year before that. You know what I'm saying? So I've been to prison a total of 4 different times. So, yeah, now I see that it's important to be careful of what you say and how you say it and who you say it to. You know what I mean? Because
when I was doing the American Cholos podcast that's coming out tomorrow night, so most people haven't seen it yet, but like that. Like we were having that conversation, and he said that even what he does, which I'm sure he does everything possible to move as respectfully as possible and to follow protocols and everything like that. He's saying that even what he's doing right now, 10, 20 years ago would have been like unheard of.
Taboo, like a motherfucker. Yeah. I was rapping in 2005, you know? I was already signed to Universal back then before I did my 10 years. And back then it was even, it was much heavier. Like rappers were, you know, suffering the consequences when they went back to the system, you know, for things that they were saying. Just like, you know, recently we've seen the same things, like the stretch of imagination where you think that just because you're an entertainer, you're never going to go back or deal with that consequences is a false reality. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel like I've seen a shitload of different examples of what it can look like to have like a street organization or whatever, which even just calling it that is kind of reductive because let's be real, a lot of it is just like dudes doing what they have to do to get along, to be able to survive, right?
Yeah, it's a necessary evil.
But I've seen it all the way from like when I hear people talk about y'all, it's like very organized, lots of pressure to not do the wrong thing, etc. And then you move over to like the far other end of the spectrum is a lot of the shit that I see in Chicago.
Yeah.
Where there's like no OGs, there's nobody who can tell young dudes like, yo, y'all are not allowed to kill him because, you know, he's so-and-so, he's connected to so-and-so. Like all that shit feels like that's like out the window. Like when I tell the dudes from Chicago, like I've seen murderous beasts get squashed over the fact that old head was able to sort of interject himself and say like, y'all, like we don't want to see this happen. And that'll make 2 dudes who legitimately want to kill each other actually kind of put it to the side. That shit is like unheard of in Chicago. And that kind of shows me how shit can be really fucked up or in some ways pretty constrained and like keep a level of order.
Well, I think it's beautiful, right? Like to think that the hierarchy is still valued out here, right? That the preservation of the respect towards our elders is still valued out here. Like, and it says a lot about our community, right? Like, so when you think about the Hispanic community, the first thing you think about is family. You know what I'm saying? That's what we base everything on, is family. So when it comes to our neighborhoods and our gangs, those are extended families. You know what I mean? So that same mentality that you have at home with your tios, your tia, and your mom and pops applies when you hit the block. On the street side, we have hood mamas and we have hood daddies that raise us. You know what I'm saying? So and they end up being your older homies. You know what I mean? So I think that the love for each other and the brotherhood that we have, it's like it comes from a good place, man. Like, yes, there's a lot of, you know, dark side to it, but at the end of the day, imagine this, right? Imagine being a kid and you go to prison for the first time, right? You never left your hood, right? Now you're going to a California prison where you're running into dudes from every single gang, right? And you're a stranger, you're lonely there, but the minute you get there, your peers are like, hey, you need some sandals to take a shower? You need deodorant, you need toothpaste? Are you hungry, my boy? You know what I'm saying? When you're in those circumstances, that resonates with your heart. You know what I mean? It makes you feel like, damn, like, okay, like I'm loved, you know? So a lot of us that have done stretches of time and have been through the worst circumstances with each other, from not telling on each other or jeopardizing our freedom to defend each other, we grow bonds, you know what I'm saying, that are unforgettable, you know what I mean? Because we're in places where we needed love, you know, and the love came from a gang with a deadly reputation, but at the end of the day, it's love, dog. And when you lack thereof, any love becomes huge to you, and it'll stay with you forever, you know? So, and that's the part that a lot of people don't see. Like, when I came home from prison, it was the streets that got me on my feet. Like, it was Father Greg and Homeboys Industry that when nobody would hire me.
Really? Okay, you're part of that.
Paid for my education, put me through a community college, and I made like over $100K a year just from my education and the work ethic that they taught me. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot that people don't see. Like, you know, also when I invited you out to my charity, God's Pantry, like,
right, which I hated that I was stuck on dad duty because I really want to come out to one of those. Yeah,
they're feeding thousands of people every week. You understand what I'm saying? So you know, it's on you what you see and what you don't see from this lifestyle, you know? At the end of the day, yes, you know, there's street violence and there's people that go to prison behind a lot of shit that goes on the street, but at the same time, like, we're also trying to love each other out here, you know what I mean? And be a community and protect and cultivate our culture further so that the little homies that are under us are growing that same mentality, you know what I mean? Like, you don't, it's, you know, people, it sounds corny, but you don't know where you're headed till you know where you come from.
Well, it's super easy to find people with level-headed attitudes on street violence and gangs and shit when you're looking at like 40-year-old dudes or even 30-year-old dudes. The problem is like the 18-year-old dudes. I've read articles about in prisons, the 18 to 21-year-old or even like younger than that range is like the dudes that are really likely to get into some fucked up shit. And as soon as you even like 22, 23 still sounds super young. But even by the time you get to that age, a lot of those same people basically kind of like tone themselves down a lot and are like far less interested in doing some crazy shit. Because when you're 18, what's happening inside your body with like puberty and shit is almost like comparable to like being drunk.
Yes, sir.
Like you are just way more capable of not thinking about the long term, because that's what being drunk is. Drunk is, I'm so focused on this person that just stepped on my shoe that I'm gonna pull a fucking knife out of my pants and stab them, and not think about the fact that like, oh, I got kids at home, I got a job, I got a nice life that I want to maintain, etc. Like, that's what alcohol does to you, and I feel like that's also what like youth and like puberty does to you. Yes, exactly.
And you got to understand, like, there's science that proves it, right? Like, people ask, how do dudes get so big in prison? It's the evolution of the male hormones that tell you, hey, you're in an environment where you need to protect yourself. You know what I mean? So therefore, your hormone level it rises. You know what I'm saying? And you become almost a bigger man than you would be out here on the streets. You know what I'm saying? So you're absolutely right, man. It's the environment, the situation that you're in at a certain age. That's why I tell my little homies, like, dog, you ain't gonna be thinking the way you're thinking right now 5 years from now.
Right.
So make sure you know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Whether it comes to their family life or whether it comes to some shit they want to do in the streets, I'm like, just make sure you know what you're doing, dog. I don't want to hear it.
And that's why if you have a conversation with someone who's from a street background, but they're like 40, and you start talking about the idea of a peace treaty or whatever, it's like, their mind automatically goes to like, well, how the fuck am I going to control these 17-year-old kids out here running around with guns?
Well, you'll turn them on you.
Yeah.
That's the thing you always got to remember. It's like, you can't distance yourself from the young you. You always got to remember yourself at that age. Like, dudes try to push me and press me about, you know, me not necessarily wanting to work with certain factors of the state and shit. And, you know, me openly, I don't know, downplaying who they are. But it's like, dog, at the end of the day, I can only cultivate my side, you know what I mean? And I can only enrich my side. Like, what's out of my reach is out of my reach. And that's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying? So I prioritize my side of the state, you know what I mean? Which is, it's important to me. I mean, at the end of the day, dog, when you think California, Southern California is where the Chicano culture really exists. For the most part, upstate, it's been lost, you know what I mean? To a certain extent, from their style, their lingo, to the way they carry themselves, to even the way they talk. Like, I know you talking to me is different than you talking to a guy from up north. You know what I'm saying? What do you call it? Ebonics wise, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
you feel like they act and behave like black people.
Yes, sir. I don't think, I know they do. It's not, I mean,
they're more influenced
I'm not making
by that.
this up. Yes,
Whereas
sir.
we're like right near Mexico, so it's a different vibe. Okay, that's interesting.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, and hey, I thank God I was born on this side, you know what I mean? Because I'm proud of where I'm from, where my people come from. I'm proud of the way we carry ourselves, and I'm proud of our beliefs, you know what I mean?
So when you have like overall negative things to say about the North or whatever, that primarily comes from your opinion of their culture and how they carry themselves, as opposed to like a lot of times when there's street beefs, you can usually like trace it back to like, oh, this person died as a result of that or whatever. It's not that kind of thing when it comes to,
well, it's a little bit of both. You know, I gotta say it's both, because I'm an open thinker, you know what I'm saying? I don't just generalize my decisions on emotion, you know what I mean? It does have to be history, you know what I mean? And I have done time with that side in prison, so I have seen both sides of who they are and how they move, you know what I mean?
And do you unite in prison? Is it
no, when I was there, no. A lot of things have changed, obviously, right? Since I've been in prison, I haven't been in prison for 8 years, so I can't really speak on how it's going down right now. It's not my place. I don't know. I'm not there. You know what I'm saying? But when I was there, no, not at all whatsoever. You know, it was no love. You know. But
so all the Southsider crews that might not get along necessarily,
for sure,
they come together, but then it's still a big division.
Yes.
But when it comes, if there's a race riot.
Well, that's where a lot of the animosity comes from. You feel me? Like we're alone. Southern Cali, we're alone. You feel what I'm saying? And then everybody else is, you know, they might. How should I say it, man? You know, they're not with us. You know what I mean?
Really?
And so it's like, you know, they do their thing, and that's where a lot of the past animosity comes from. You know what I mean?
Really?
Is at the end of the day, like, us as Southerners, we never let each other go. You know, that's just. And we're never minions to anybody, you know, if that makes sense, you know? Like, we always stand on our own, and if anything, we like to see everybody eye to eye. That's what people don't understand. It's like, the South Side gives respect to get respect. We start off with respect, you know? That's our main thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, but me as far as like my opinion towards them is never going to be positive, you know, just because of my life and what I've been through. And currently now, the way I see them, like, trying to, you know, like parasites feed themselves off of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything is directed towards us, dissing us, or trying to somehow downplay how important we are to our culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, without the South Side, who's proud of being a Chicano? Who's proud of being from where we're from? You know what I'm saying? I mean, yes, you have the other side of like Peso Pluma and all them, which are right the fullest enrichment of Mexican culture. But when you're talking about Mexican Americans,
right,
who's a face of a Mexican American or Hispanic American, however you want to see it, it's us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Is it, in your mind, is it a possibility that they just like haven't got to that level in terms of like mainstream success? Because you could still look at like Mexican people in general, Southsiders and shit, as like underdogs when it comes to the overall culture, because they haven't necessarily had as much success in the music shit as the black people and everything. From your perspective, is there anything that's ever gonna like make that divide go away, or is this just something you're kind of like permanently entrenched in?
Well, I can't speak for everybody, right? Because everybody has their own perspective, and everybody moves according to their own need, right? And their own. But to me, as me myself, right, and I'm gonna speak for myself. When I look at dudes doing deals with them or working with them, it's out of desperation. You know, like me being loved by my side, I don't need nobody by my side. You know, my side to make sure that I always have the opportunities I need. Like even the younger rappers that are on right now, they always reach back and look out for me. You understand what I'm saying? Like they, in whatever way they can, they involve me in what they're doing out of respect and out of love. You know what I mean? Because I've never let the need for an opportunity or money allow me to let somebody else exploit what we got. I stand on business no matter what.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm willing to, I'll go work a 9 to 5 before I do some dummy ass shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just feel like an opposition is always necessary, man. You know, steel sharpens steel, man. So let it be. Like, even when people talk about prejudice, it's like, dog, like, don't be offended because another race don't like you. So fucking what? Thrive through it, homie. Like, put a fucking helmet on and stop crying.
Right.
You feel me? It's like you don't hear in sports people complain about their opposition or being challenged. In wars, they don't cry about it. It's like, fuck it, let it go. It's just human nature, man. I don't take it personal. Them dudes take it personal when I speak because it echoes to my side when I speak. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of merit. I have a lot of validity behind the things that I've done, not only in the game but in the streets. You know, so they know I'm loved. You know what I'm saying? So when I talk, they get super emotional about it. And to me, it's like, you should be thanking me because somewhere there's a young northerner I'm lighting a fire under his ass. You get what I'm saying? Like, right?
Yeah. Well, some of the dudes that I've interviewed, it does kind of feel like that. Like that dude Bands that I interviewed in particular, like Lazy Boy was kind of like, he didn't really say much about the South or whatever. But when I was talking to that Bands dude, and American Cholo told me that he actually really liked that interview. I'm not sure exactly what he liked about it. Like maybe he liked it because he enjoyed not enjoying it. But I mean, I do feel like he seemed like somebody who seemed motivated to put on for his side of things.
As he should.
Yeah.
As he should, because it's like, see, like I've said it before, like, they're not a reality to us in Southern California. You know, to us in Southern Cali, we're out here slaughtering each other. You know, but you got to think, like, just like, let's just use this country, for example, right? We're the biggest war machine in the world. We agree on that? Okay, then, all right. So what happens when we go to other countries and we defeat them, or they want peace with us? We leave behind embassies in every country. So our presence is there. It's the same with us. We're up there. They're not down here. If you go to Oakland, out of 5 neighborhoods, 4 of them are Southsiders. You go to San Jose, it's the same shit. You go to Richmond, it's the same shit. So how can they get mad at me for just stating the facts, bro? You know what I mean?
So you're telling me that was done intentionally over the years, is that maybe there wasn't representation? I don't
know why the reason was. I just know that it's there because you understand, like, who knows why, right? Maybe we inspired the guys up there to want to be us. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying there was a great mastermind and scheme, but you got to think, like, in 2005 and even before that, when the big Chicano rap movement was going on, we were going up there and performing. So, you know, the music is a huge influence. You know what I mean? They didn't have none of their own really blowing up the way we were. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to, like, the Capones, Criminals, Lil Robs, and so forth, right? Kid Frost, even those guys, like, they didn't have that. So, you know, push forward now. Like, think about the Southsiders are saying the N-word heavy now.
You're not a fan of that?
You know what? I've grown to, like, maybe not become a fan of it, but understand it.
Because, like, Lefty says that he doesn't say it, but then you'll see him on certain interviews where he slips and lets it out.
Well, because the thing is this, like, you know, we like, my generation is the generation before Lefties, right? So you gotta understand, at the house parties, that's all we played. You know, any event, we were bumping nothing but hip hop. So I get it that we infused that in them so heavily, right? And they embraced it so much because of the hip hop culture, right? But I mean, I don't know. I think that, you know, as a man, right? I think that when you represent a certain culture, you got to do it right, you know? But like I said, as a man, I can't speak like if I was young, 20, you know, when you're young, you give a fuck about, you don't think that deep into shit. You just want to do what's popping.
I know, like, if I was a white guy that, like, cared about preserving white culture, I would be forced to look at all the white rappers and be like, oh, y'all have clearly, like, fallen under the spell of African Americans because, and they know that. They talk about that all the time. You see black people on Twitter talking about how they fucking have shaped the entire culture and shit, and they got a good point. You can imagine that for, like, a young 18-year-old Mexican rapper that, like, so much of his influences have come from that. And there have, even, like, when you look at Shoreline Mafia,
hell yeah, exactly.
They fucking blew up. 2 of the guys in the group at the time were black. They're doing all kinds of songs with black rappers and stuff. they definitely are like putting on for like a current generation of what like a Mexican young person in LA is like. But I'm guessing that somebody like you also kind of looks at it and is like, there's like a little something that might have been lost.
Well, they like OGZ did open the floodgates to that. You know, he's the pioneer of that, right? And look at what happened. Like, I think we can both agree. Like, Shoreline was a big culture wave, like
movement,
big, powerful, right?
Fizzled
like
out
even hood motherfuckers
fast.
like me, like I was listening to them before they really blew up. You know what I'm saying? Like I was already on them. Tapped in with them just out of the love for music, you know, and their sound. It was so unique and it was just dope, right? So there you see his generation, you know? Well, now Lefty's out. So it's his time. You feel what I'm saying? And now you see, if you're outside in the community, like, look, even Peso is wearing the hairnet now with the hair combed back. You know, like slowly, you know, the waves shift. But the one thing about our Cholo culture and this gangster shit, like our style is timeless, man. You know what I mean? It might fade away for a little bit, but it will arise again. Like you got to think 50 Cent blew up using the word homie. Like every other bar was homie, homie, homie. Like that's friendly to us. You know, Chicanos use that term.
Right.
You know, Hispanic gang members use that homie term. So if you look at history, dog, like it'll go away. Like trends will come and go. But the one shit that will always stay as far as Southern California is that Cholo stilo, that gang member style of the way we carry ourselves.
But it's crazy because it's like there's a lot of black gang members or old school hip hop heads in LA that, you know, miss when that aesthetic that was pioneered in the 80s or 90s or whatever was still kind of the mainstay. And there are people who kind of keep it alive. You look at somebody like Doggy Style, you know, he's just like
Dizzy Hollow.
True blue, refuses to let it go. He's always going to kind of rep that. But then when you look at the dudes who are the most influential and make the biggest moves in the culture, a lot of times it's somebody like Draco who realistically kind of took a lot of the old school West Coast shit and just put it to the side and came with a completely different flow and style of beats and everything.
I think you know it's you know that is unpredictable, right? Like to see what's gonna resonate, what's gonna take off. You know what I mean? But yeah, I get you. Like I hear what you're saying. Like even the Chicago style took off over here for a while too. You know what I mean? So it's music, man. It's all about the music at the end of the day. Like, who's going to blow up next, you know?
I almost feel like we're kind of lucky that, like, a full-blown LA drill movement hasn't really become a thing. And it's kind of, like, constrained because of the old-school gang politics and shit. Yeah. But it does feel like that has kind of, like, gone into so many different parts of America that it almost surprises me that we don't have LA rappers really rapping on drill beats, because it wouldn't surprise me at all at this point.
They tried. I think we're just accustomed to that certain sound out here, man. Like even if it's not heavy funk, we're accustomed to those drum lines, you know what I mean? Those beats per second. So I think that the West Coast is just a vibe. Yeah. You feel me? Like it's just a vibe, man. It's a different vibe than a lot of other places, you know?
I don't think you can really get popular by like a scene in America. I don't think you can really get popular by just completely hijacking another scene's sound. Because when I look at New York's drill wave didn't really get the respect until they kind of like came with a different sound that separated them from Chicago. And now even in Atlanta, you have a lot of like young ass kids who are screaming on the mic, freaking out, and like they kind of had to like find their own style in order to like kind of stand out against the backdrop of all these bigger cities. Yeah, because at that point you're
swagger jacking.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And in hip hop that comes out, you know? Yeah. People always, in hip hop, it's always one of the things, the ego always kicks in, right? Like the ego is the biggest motivator of the music. And it's like, if somebody can tell you that they influenced you, that's almost like, an embarrassing point, you know what I mean? It's like, you jock my style, fool. What the fuck you talking about?
The young generation always wants to reject the traditions. You know, even like you have a son, by the time he gets to be 16, 17, 18, he's going to basically be looking for everything that makes him different than you, no matter how much respect he has for you and no matter how much respect he's been seeing you get throughout your life. He's going to be trying to figure out like, okay, who am I? Like, how do I define myself?
But it's the animal kingdom, right?
I can't just be Bozo Jr.
Yeah,
you know, like
I got to be bigger than that.
Even if I am, I need to figure out how to separate myself from that. And we as a culture, if somebody's just like pushing a line of like, yo, I'm Adam 22's son, check me out. It's like, no, that's not enough for you to stand on. They're actually going to hold you to a way higher standard because they want to see you as like a self-made man.
Yeah. Well, everybody wants that accolade under their belt to be able to say, I'm a one of one, you know, and I didn't need nobody's shit. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't have to come up under anybody's shadow, you know? And that's just, you know, that's just the male ego, man. That's just how it works.
Definitely. So, okay, there's a thing that Wack has said a bunch of times on the podcast where he's basically said that he would never work with a Southsider artist because of the fact that he feels like at some point he's going to basically be co-opted by the big dogs. We'll leave it at that. And then Lefty recently did an interview where he said that like the offers that he was getting from labels were impacted and he lost out on hundreds of thousands of dollars because Wack saying that made the labels more scared to work with him. Is that a realistic concern?
When somebody is painting that narrative, so let's talk, right? Like in reality, right? Let's say political campaigns. You know, when politicians go at each other, right? And they have a motive behind it because they want to win presidencies, right? The first thing you create is a fear monger. You know, you create fear so that people distance themselves from that other party. Whatever Wack's motives are, I don't know. Who knows? You know, who knows his history with my people and what he's been through? I don't know. I can't speak for that man, but obviously there's an ulterior motive. You know what I'm saying? And did it affect Lefty? I'm sure it did. If he's saying it did, then it did. But you know, that's up to Lefty now to show and prove that he's wrong. You know what I mean? Now, and the proof has to be in the pudding, right? Like Lefty has to show that it's not stopping him. And from what I can tell, it ain't stopping him for shit. Because he's tapping into every. I've been in the studio with him with Gucci Mane's artists. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not stopping him from doing shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the reality is what we're seeing. You know what I mean? And Lefty is from a real hood. Like I ran around with his homeboys before he even came out of prison. You know, I was performing at his hood parties. You know what I'm saying? But while he was in the joint with my homeboys, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it is what it is, man. And people are gonna say whatever they want on you know, social media platforms, and they have their agendas and they have their reasons. And you know, we have to, like I said before, we have to let that light a fire under our ass and accept the challenge, man.
I also kind of, when I heard Lefty saying that, I almost felt like he was kind of potentially being bamboozled by the labels as well, because the reality is that when you're in business, if I'm, you know, like I just think of this from like a bike riding perspective, because I would always see the company owners dealing with China, and China's selling them metal and selling them steel and selling them bikes and shit. And then like they would come up with all these excuses
trying to work them.
Why it's more expensive this week, why this month the prices have risen 10%. It's like, yeah, there might be some reasons why that is a real thing, but then it's also like they'll say anything. They'll do whatever to give themselves a better bargaining position.
It never stopped OG Jeezy.
Right. Yeah.
It never stopped King Lil G. It never stopped Devour. It never stopped none of these guys that were popping before Lefty. So, I mean, you probably right. It was probably just the labels trying to lowball him. You know what I mean? We don't know, but yeah, man, like the proof is there. You know, homies been doing their shit for decades and decades. I haven't seen one, you know, get caught up in a case where that's going on or legal. You know what I'm saying? Ramifications, that shit going on, or whether they can prove that. So I don't know, man. But a lot of the older heads are they're stuck in the movies, man. They watch American Me too many times, man. You know, they get stuck in this imaginary world, man. They like, you know, a lot of people like to talk like they're tapped in, man, when they're really not. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know who's really tapped in by the less they say. You know, we talk behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying?
Are there a lot of secretive meetings going on in your world?
No, I wouldn't say it's like common sense, man. You know, it's not like we're having secretive meetings. It's just like, and our community is so big, but at the same time, it's so small. You know what I mean? It's like you run into dudes that you know just got out from doing life, man, and one conversation leads to another conversation, and it's just like talking baseball or basketball, like who's the GOAT. You know, it's small talk, man. But with that small talk, we communicate a lot of our expectations for each other. You know, it's not necessarily a secret society like right there hovering over us. Nah, man, we just know better because we preserve our culture to the fullest, right? So it's like it's common sense. It's a second nature to us. We just know. We've seen enough. We've been through enough to know better. And I think that says a lot about our respect for each other, you know? It's not fear or some fucking movie that we're in. Nah, man, we just love who we are and we love each other, man. Right. So we hold each other to a higher standard than a lot of other fucking people. And if you ask me, that's lacking in a lot of other cultures. That they should be looking at us and trying to emulate what we're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of like trying to belittle or downplay who we are. You know
I know you pay attention to politics and stuff. Has there ever been moments where you look at the Jewish community and you're like, oh, okay, they're doing things that we could learn from as well?
Oh, absolutely. I see. Yeah, because look, man, I think that, man, like I just saw the shit that was going on at the USC, right? It was USC?
Yeah, all that crazy protests
and it's like,
shit, yeah.
And it's like all these people are talking, they're preaching, how do you say it, man? They're preaching a message that they turn on the minute that they don't get their way. It's like they're locking down the fucking campus, and when Jewish kids are walking in, they're insulting them, pushing them physically, fucking intimidating them. So what happened to equality? Like, how in the fuck, you got to practice what you preach, dog.
Right.
There's no other way around it.
So many things that you see play out in society, especially as an older person, you just look at it and you're like, oh, like, dudes are just looking for a reason to bully each other.
It's hypocrisy.
You know,
Hell yeah.
It's just like they want to have power and they want to have somebody to be able to bully. And it's like we, as a society, we've come far enough that if you're in, this was like literally the witch trials, but that shit is out of style. Or like it used to be that, girls in school, like in high school and shit, be making fun of the fat girl, making fun of the girl with acne, making fun of the poor person or whatever. A lot of that shit is really taboo. But when it comes to like, oh, you are in support of a government that we see as perpetrating a genocide. Yeah. That puts you into a position where if you truly believe that, then you don't have any qualms about shitting on them and attacking them and trying to really belittle and dehumanize them. And that's like a very human urge. But most of the ways that people would have typically gotten that urge out of their system are kind of like looked down upon in society. So now you have these kids. And also, I'm going to tell you, to a lot of these college kids, they've never really struggled.
They've never been through shit.
They haven't been through anything,
dog.
So
they're entitled motherfuckers, man.
They basically co-opt the pain of Gaza and then use it as an excuse to shit on other people.
Bro. They don't have their own purpose. They don't never leave their rich communities to come feed the poor, work with the poor, or the people that are that are the what you would call the lower class of the community, right? Like they've never been through no shit like that, and you gotta understand, dog, when people don't grow up with a purpose, they're just open and they're, how should you say, vulnerable to anybody else's message. All they gotta look as a motherfucker that thinks he's cool, that they think is cool, and they admire him, and next thing you know, they're Al Qaeda here in the United States. You feel what I'm saying? So there's a lot of that a lot of these kids are, they're entitled, they're privileged people that don't have nothing better to do, man. You know what I mean? Because if if we're going to get into that war, like the history is there, it's written. This war was predicted. It's been predicted. It's in the Bible. Like if you know your history and you know the Bible, then you know that this ain't no puzzle, man. What's going on has been written forever and ever, and people just got to care to look deep enough, or maybe look outside of their own little fucking spectrum that they're in, stuck in their own world. You know what I mean? It's like, look outside, man, and really do the research on why this is happening.
Yeah, because all the kids who are growing up in basically like Southern California, war-torn neighborhoods are like the least likely people that you would ever see at this kind of thing.
Yeah, we don't give a fuck,
They have
man.
real problems in their life. And the idea of like concerning yourself with something that's going on the other side of the world is just unthinkable to most people who grow up with like real shit going on in their life.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it's reality versus the imagination, right? Like what people want to imagine that they're living for, or imagine what they can do or what they can't, versus to like what you have to actually do.
Right.
It's like, to me, like I think that even all this depression and shit, that's a privilege, dog. I didn't have a privilege to be depressed when I was a kid. My parents died my mom died when I was young, and I had to fend for myself. And that was just that. A motherfucker. What was I gonna do depressed at the park? Nobody was gonna feed me. Crying about boo-hoo. Fuck no, I had to go hunt.
I've seen TikToks of like parents talking about their kids, their teenagers, telling them like, you need to stop talking to me like that. You're giving me anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is so unthinkable to me that I would have been able to say that as a kid to my parents and my
dad would have laughed at me.
Yeah.
Like, go pick up dog shit, stupid.
Like, I'm trying to give you anxiety so that you'll stop doing stupid shit. Like, that's your parents' fucking job.
Yeah, we're babying a lot of motherfuckers. Even these rappers, like, when you say, like, do you like the N-word? I've said it openly that I don't like the homies saying that, and they're offended by me saying that. And it's like, don't get offended, dog. Look into why I'm saying what I'm saying. We're trying to preserve our culture, and you're just trying to kill it. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to rep for somebody else that don't give a flying fuck about you. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like, the message doesn't have to be comfortable, but it is necessary, and we got to speak on it,
Yeah, that is a weird one, because it's like, you can totally understand where they're coming from. But then at the same time, like I'm from a place that had like a pretty decent percentage of Puerto Ricans growing up and Dominicans. And to me, it wasn't even until I was much older that I even considered that they shouldn't say that, or that they would be looked down upon for saying that.
Yeah.
Because even where I grew up, like a lot of white kids said it too, just because it was just considered normal. And then I moved to New York City, and absolutely every fucking person I was around in New York City riding BMX bikes and stuff, just hanging out with people that were like chilling on the street all day. I mean, they were all fucking saying it. And it's really like now, the past few years, that I see a lot of black people really speaking out against like Hispanic people saying it.
Well, they
like
should.
That. Yeah.
They should be mad as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because what's happening is this, dog, that they're exploiting their culture. You know what I mean? Like, for whatever it's worth, that N-word is like a golden token for them in music and in entertainment. You know, it gives validity to who they're saying it to. You know what I mean? It says that you've been through the struggles of a black person. You know, that's what it's saying. When somebody's calling you the N-word, they're saying that you've been through the struggles of a black person, right? So you have a connection right away. And it's like, come on, you got dudes that don't grow up around none of them type of people shooting that word around like it's cool. Which I get it. Like I said, it's the music and all that shit. But if we're gonna dig deep down into the importance of that word, it's like, then we got to stop, you know what I mean? Because that's lack of respect for that community.
Yeah, it's crazy. I from having conversations with Tariq Nasheed, I realized how they try to basically take the different minority groups in America and condense them all down to people of color.
Yes.
And that is like a very silly thing to do from my perspective, because it's like the struggle of the Hispanic people, the Mexicans in America versus the struggle of black people is like completely
way different.
They don't necessarily have the same wants or aims in society.
Well, we're indigenous at the end of the day. So we come from that indigenous history, that backlash, you know, that we suffer. So yeah, it's way different. Like, yeah, we weren't necessarily on slave ships, but we were slaughtered, you know what I'm saying, out here, and we got robbed for our land. You know what I mean? So if we're going to go that far, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, man, I'm just open to everything, you know, like I don't think that the white man is the enemy either. You feel what I'm saying? I think that we all needed each other in some kind of fucked up way. Like, inside of your body, there's hormones and there's chemicals going at war against each other right now to create who you are right now, the being that you are. So it's like, to me, it's like, man, you gotta understand the necessary evils, man. Like, everything is necessary. Nothing is by mistake, you know? And look, I'm tall. I'm not necessarily the darkest Mexican you've seen. This is genetics mixed in that created who I am now. Right. And my ambition comes from where? Who knows? My European side, and my faith and my soul comes from what? My indigenous side. And I'm proud of both of them. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a pure Mexican. I'm not pure Salvadoran. I'm not pure European. Who knows what the fuck I am, dog, at the end of the day, right? But whatever I am, I'm blessed, fool.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because when you think about Native Americans, they kind of have like the least representation in popular culture. And when you look at like what actually happened to them, it is like some of the most traumatic shit you can imagine happening to people. And then also, it just like kind of it gets erased / like people just don't want to talk about it. It's like the reality of it is too ugly.
It is,
but
too
they
ugly.
don't have a lot of cultural representation for whatever reason.
Well, because they go back to their history, they go back to their faith, so they depend on their spiritual leadership to get them out of where they're at. You understand what I'm saying? They go back to their culture. They don't. At the same time, they're not gonna trust the same structure that was their downfall. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like, if your dad was killed by a cop, you're never gonna trust a cop. As a kid coming up, right? It's never gonna happen. You're never gonna become a cop. You're never gonna trust one. That's just in your DNA. Like, it's inherited, man. You know what I mean? Like, people don't understand, Matt, that a lot of these differences that we have and a lot of this anger and rage is inherited. You know, we've inherited from our elders. Do
you look at Mexico as kind of like your Mecca to a certain extent, or are you so Southern California oriented that that's not really your viewpoint on it?
I love my history and where I come from, right? Like, I've visited the temples from El Salvador because my mother was Salvadoran, and the temples in Mexico because my dad's Mexican. But I'm proud of where I'm from. I'm an American. I'm from Southern California, and I'm proud as fuck of where my people come from and my history and all that. But at the end of the day, I've been to those countries, the poorest parts of them, so I see how those countries fail their own people. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard for me to glorify a country that has their own people running to us for help, if it makes sense to you, right? Like, countries and governments that victimize their people to an extent of where they're willing to die to get to another land. They're fleeing that land, you know? Like a lot of people don't want to say that openly, you know what I mean? A lot of people are afraid to say what I'm saying right now, but to me it's a reality.
Right.
Like why the fuck is our borders fucking being so overcrowded with migrants coming over is because they have no opportunities where they're from. Like if you're poor, see in this country, if you're poor, you have the option to make it out. In those countries, if you're poor, you don't have no options. That's just who the fuck you are. And you'll stay there, remain that way. So, yeah, I'm just realistic about this shit, man. Yeah, do I love my culture? Hell yeah. You know what I mean? It hurts my heart more to see somebody of my culture suffer than it does other races. You know what I mean? Out of my loyalty and my love. But at the end of the day, I'm an American, so I protect my children's land and my children's country as well as mine, you know, more than anything.
Definitely. Yeah, because I mean, is your perspective on Mexico that it's kind of like a place that has been allowed to turn into such a crazy fucking, like, in particular, like the drug trafficking side of things. It's like things happen there that you can never imagine happening in America. And we have so little incentive to like step in and help. And like, you know, they laugh when like American politicians suggest that we should do any kind of like intervention in Mexico or whatever. But then as a result, it creates a situation where they provide all the fucking drugs for
why are they laughing though? You got to think because behind closed doors, it's like, I'm the square cousin and you're the crooked cousin. Right. And unbeknownst to people, like we're working with each other, man. We're family at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're the fucking white collar one, and I'm the ex-con street motherfucker, but we're family. And at the end of the day, you can't break that bond. Like, there's a bond between us and Mexico. That's undeniable. You know what I'm saying? And that comes from way before any of us were around. So, there's not one without the other. How do you create a clientele without being allowed to create that clientele? Right. And how do you create a distributor without knowing the need for that distribution? Right. So come on, like, you know, we're one, man. We just don't say it openly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I even seen like a video about San Francisco and, you know, just how much drugs are being sold out there. And one thing that they made clear is like, this is not a situation where the drugs are just trafficked into America and then they're just given to whoever wants to buy it. It's like, no, they are like installing, like they want to control the whole market. They're installing the people that are going to be standing on corners and selling shit and everything like that so that they can control it. This motherfucker is particularly needy today. He's all up on us. But like that, I don't know. It's a crazy situation,
it's deep, man. And it's too big for like dudes like me and you to ever really comprehend the importance of it. But one thing I will tell you is that when you go to Mexico or any country down south, they treat us with love, man. Like they love our money over there and they love our presence. They love the fact that we're dying to go over there and visit them. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's crazy. The border crisis itself right now is something else, though. It's not even, you know, just minimized to like migrants from like, you know, Mexico and Central America. Now it's like, it's an invasion. You feel what I'm saying? And people, are more worried about fucking Puff Daddy. You feel what I'm saying? And who the fuck?
I know a girl from Russia who fucking flew into Mexico to walk over the border. And when she showed up, they like laughed in her face and just let her in. Yeah. She's a hot white chick coming through. And like, from their perspective, this is just kind of like a joke. Like, this is hilarious. Like, what the fuck are you doing coming to America?
But that's
this
just
way?
Recently, right? Like, that's just this administration. Like before, they were on that shit. You know what I mean? You constantly saw the chases. And even if you're visiting Mexico, you understood like crossing back. Like even I was sweated like, fuck, did I bring all my shit? You know, you had to have all your identification, all your paperwork ready, man. So, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's tricky, you know, but I think that the grown men now that, you know, we're in positions where like we have youth looking up to us for guidance, whether it's through these platforms or family on the street, like that we just communicate that and we at least have the conversations around them because I never had them, you know, like my big homies were super thugging it, you know what I mean? They just didn't give a fuck, you know, or maybe the world was just better at that time. I feel like my childhood as a kid, when I look at my kids, it's like, fuck, I feel bad for them. Like nobody's on the block throwing around, you know, tossing around footballs and shit, or like the little homies, like they got to meet girls through DMs. It's like, my boy, like we were meeting them in traffic.
I have so many girls tell me that like they don't have dudes hit on them in real life.
They don't.
That they get
are
DMs,
scared.
or a dude will meet them and then they'll DM them later, and that makes me feel like a fucking throwback because I'm the type of dude where if I walk up into a party and there's a bunch of chicks and nobody's talking to them, even as a married man, I'm like, in my head, it's like, this is a challenge. It's like, I need to at least spark up a conversation and just be on some regular shit.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Well, it's, you know, look, man, that's how the man gains confidence.
Right.
You know, that's how you feed your ego. Like, men have to learn how to conquer women. Or else when they get into relationships, you see all these fools getting bullied by their chicks. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you lose the hierarchy. It's like the woman no longer feels like she needs the man. You know what I mean? Like, now it's like the men need the women to boost their ego. You know what I mean? Like, now dudes rely on women so emotionally. It's like, it's embarrassing, bro. You felt, to me, from my, you know, what I see out there, it's like so many dudes only feel validated by women when it was before the other way around. Like, a woman bragged about who she was with. Like, whether you're a gunner or a hustler or somebody with a good job and career, that was bragged upon. Now, women have made it to where, like, dudes gotta earn their acceptance. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you don't buy me a Birkin bag, you're not worthy of my presence. Or Cheesecake Factory, bitch, you're lucky. Back in the days, I took you to the fucking taco stand on the block.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I didn't make you pay. You know, I mean, it was just, you know, yeah, it's immature, but in our youth, that's how it was. Now, as a man, things change, right? You become a provider and all that shit. But I'm talking about the initial interaction, you know? A lot of these dudes got sucker mentality, man. You know what I mean? And I see it.
That whole shit of like buying girls stuff is like so fucking foreign to me. Like, that just feels like it doesn't matter. It's the same thing as paying for pussy. And it's I do respect that to whatever degree. But to me, my whole entire life, fucking hundreds of girls, while I was just like on the single scene or whatever, the most I would ever do is like take a girl to dinner. You know, like the idea of buying them bags and clothes, taking them shopping, it's just like, you're reducing your power in the relationship so much. I still remember being 16 and there was a kid that I worked with at the grocery store who was like borderline retarded. Like, this is the dumbest motherfucker you ever met. And I remember him telling me like, yeah, I got a date with this girl. I bought her a watch. And I remember just being like, you bought her a watch on your first date? You ain't fucked her? You ain't done nothing yet? Like, that's supposed to be something that you do at a certain point in the relationship that, you know, could help solidify shit. Like, you gotta wait until you need to do that. Like, what the fuck are you thinking? And now that is like, everybody has that mentality.
That's the road of passage now. You know what I'm saying? And dudes are doing it to dudes. You see dudes like trying to buy friendships now too. You know what I mean? Showing money on their posts all day. Right. Their YouTube channels are all about what car they just bought and fucking how much bread they got. And it's like, dog, like, you trying to date motherfuckers or you trying to earn respect from motherfuckers? That
always trips me out when I see dudes giving each other Rolexes and shit.
Yeah, it's just
buying
weird,
each other chains. And I'm like, me and my friends, I don't think we ever really even bought each other shit like at all, besides maybe like,
man, that's just weird, man.
I don't know. Even like my girl got on my ass because my friend had a baby recently and I didn't think to buy him a gift or anything. And I kind of felt bad afterwards, but I'm also just
that's different though.
That's like my real homie, but like, he didn't buy me anything when I had a kid, and I don't think to buy him something when he has a kid. Like, my brain just does not go there.
Well, we're selfish as men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? And ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm sure that he know, as long as he knows you give a fuck about him and you want the best for him. And if he calls you for anything, you're like, yeah, I got you. Don't trip. You know, that's where the bonds are made as men, with actions, not with, you know, us fucking romanticizing each other. You know what I mean? Like, that shit ain't necessary. My boys, you know, they know we might not talk for a year, but they know that one call that I make or that they make to me is good as gold. We don't need to be holding hands all day. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is when you're a grown ass man. Like, and that's what a lot of, you know, like even these rappers, like, they want to hold hands. Like, man, I say it openly, like, fuck the other side. I ain't trying to hold hands with nobody. Like, I don't need that shit, dog. I don't need to be friends with everybody. Like, and I don't want to be liked by everybody. You know, as a man, I like myself. And that's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people gravitate towards getting along with everybody. Yeah. And that, like, everything in their life, like, if you see them having an issue with somebody, you kind of know that they're going to patch it up at a certain point. And then it is weird when you have somebody in your life that you don't fuck with to such an extent that, like, no, I really hate you and I don't want anything to do with you. I don't respect you. And it's not, for me, it's not like I'm going to fucking swing on you when I see you or anything, but I don't like you and I don't plan on patching it up. Yeah, no. That's very foreign to a lot of people. Fuck, yeah, like, I mean, when you're a man, you stand on shit, man. There's reasons for that dislike. And if it was ever gonna be a situation where you can make it up, then you don't take it there to begin with. That comes with being a man too. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of motherfuckers want to like drop false paperwork on people or false audios and then pretend like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. And it's like, dog, like how do you shoot me and then apologize for it?
Right.
That's not, just own up to your shit, dog. Like a lot of motherfuckers will respect you more. Like, even rappers right now, like in our community, trying to say that they're not rats. Dog, you're a rat. Like, stop trying to convince people that you're not. We would respect you more if you came openly and say, you know what? I had a moment of fear, man, and I fucking folded, man. And I regret it with all my fucking heart. And with that being said, I'm tapping out. Instead of trying to like still lie to us like we're bitches. Like you lied to your chick about who you cheated with. Not to a grown ass man. To a grown ass man, you need to admit it, dog. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you harness respect. Not coming on here with fake paperwork and oh, this ain't the real one. This is the one. Come on, dog. Get the fuck out of here. When you stand on business, you don't walk around with paperwork, homie. The streets speak for you and you don't gotta, how should I say, you don't explain yourself, You just don't.
So you have like an all or nothing policy when it comes to snitching, because just recently I was doing an interview with FBG Butta from Chicago, and he took the stand in a murder trial, but his basic excuse for why he didn't consider this to be so foul is because he was telling on a dead person. Does that go like he was actually telling on his sister who was an alleged assassin?
Yeah.
And so like his perspective is basically like, listen, yeah, I put some charges on her or whatever, but she wasn't around to take it. Like, is that valid or is that totally out of line from your perspective?
To me, it's like, look, okay, let's get to the root of why people need to tell. Okay, when people need to tell, it's only because they need to get themselves out of their own shit. So if you know that if you know that you don't have the how should I say, man, the courage to write shit out completely, then don't play ball, dog. Like we can make reasons for everything, but at the end of the day, we got to hold ourselves accountable for the real root of why the fuck are you taking these fucking coward acts and embracing them. It's like, as a man, dog, if you ain't that guy, then don't play ball, homie. If you're not willing to do life, if you're not willing to get smoked, get the fuck out the playing field. Because that's what comes with it. If you're not willing for your baby mom to get fucked while you're doing time, if you're not willing for your parents to die while you're doing time, if you're not willing to have one of your own best friends turn on you, either kill you or tell on you, then don't step on the field, because that's what comes with this shit. Like, I've been through all that shit, you feel me? All that shit, and I wrote it out. Because I could never come home to the women at my household or my children and look them in the face and be like, at some point I bitched up, man. You know what I'm saying? And accept me as I come now.
But one thing I realized from having conversations with so many people who snitch is that there's almost none of them will really take that.
No.
Will communicate that. It's always
somebody else's fault.
There's a reason. And a lot of times the reasons sound really good, but a lot of times the reasons sound good because they know that I'm not going to do the appropriate homework to figure out the actual details / you wouldn't even be able to figure it out if you wanted to. Like, I don't know, because there's so many different like styles
there's lack of accountability, man. It's always comes down to lack of accountability.
But we've seen so many different versions of snitching over the last like couple years, and they kind of all seem like there's like varying degrees of seriousness.
Nah, snitching is snitching. You a rat, man. I don't give a fuck what it is. Like, you have no business talking about other people's business when you got your own. Like, to me, like, especially to get yourself out of a jam. Right. It's like, dog, like, cut it out, man. You like, there's a certain fear that people feel, when it comes to that moment of like, I'm gonna tell. At that moment, the law has them cornered, or whoever it is, whatever organization it is that has them cornered, that they're just like, fuck, at this point I will do anything to get out of this shit.
Right. Because sitting in jail is a fucking horrible experience, and like your first day in jail is like the worst one, and then maybe over time you get used to it. But like, you see people all the time who get arrested and they start telling before they're even
that's because they feel sorry for themselves. They never think about what they did to put themselves in that predicament. Let me tell you something, dog. If you're not doing crime and you're not involved in no bullshit, the cops are gonna come look for you? No,
probably not. Unless
they're not. It just doesn't happen.
Unlucky, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, has it happened? Right. But those are instances where they're motivated by something else. Right. But just out of the blue, a cop's gonna drive down your block You're sitting in your fucking living room, watching TV, feeding your kid. They're going to come knock on the door. Hey, come here, man. We need you for that murder. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
You know, it's just not a reality. Like, everything is warranted, homie. So it's like, you know, when you open the door for the devil to come in, don't be scared when he's just fucking you raw. You know what I'm saying?
So, okay, I've been thinking about this a little bit because of the Kendrick and Drake beef. That I don't know if you've been following that at all.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So basically, like, one of the things Kendrick put on Drake is calling him a snitch because allegedly in like 2010, in the very beginning of Drake's career, he went to this Chinese restaurant or whatever, and somebody, I think, upped the gun on him and took his watch or some shit. And that's kind of like an interesting accusation for him to make about Drake, because Drake's not a gang member. Drake's not really a street dude, even though he raps about a bunch of street shit. If you knew for a fact, and Drake adamantly denies that for the record, and I don't think that there's any real like evidence that he talked to the cops about it, but from your perspective as just like a music fan, would you look differently at Drake if you knew that he did tell in that situation?
If he did, yes, most definitely, because he has exploited this gang shit. You know, he's even mentioned the Sureños in his rap, you know? So when you're exploiting that world, it's like, you know, you're gonna suffer the expectations of it. You feel what I'm saying? So if that's true, and if he did, then I would look at him way different. You know what I'm saying? But if it's just somebody on a rap song, like, putting that shit out there without no kind of you know, proof of it, then I mean, then shame on the other rapper. You feel what I'm saying? Because that just shows a desperation of how bad. That speaks volumes about how insecure Drake makes him. Right?
It feels like there's that on both sides of that conflict right now, where it's like Kendrick's calling him a pedophile over and over.
Exactly. I heard that shit too, and I thought that was foul as fuck.
Little to no evidence, you know, like the worst things that you could say are kind of like weird, creepy lyrics or whatever. It's like, that doesn't, to me, like, I kind of knew this battle would get to that place, but it is kind of nasty to see, you know, like the best song in this whole thing to me is that Kendrick song. I already forgot the name, Let It Go or some shit, or Not Like Us.
Not Like Us, yeah.
And I put it on in the gym today, and I did kind of have a hard time vibing to it because the whole song is these like scathing, really like cruel accusations, which I don't think are real.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to rock out.
We would know about it. Yeah, we would know about it. And it loses the validity of what you're saying, you know, and because Kendrick comes across like a man of integrity.
Right.
So you let go of your integrity to do this battle, like, nah, you got to stand on business always.
Yes.
You don't get to pick and choose.
Snitching accusations you can't prove, a baby that almost certainly doesn't seem to exist, and pedophile accusations that doesn't seem like there's any corroboration
tells me them fools are in, you know, they're behind closed doors. They're, you know what I mean? They're getting a bag of, man.
I think about it sometimes, and I'm like, there's going to be a moment in 10 years, 20 years, et cetera, where we see them sitting on the same couch having a conversation about this. And I hope, because this seems like it's at the point now where things could happen in the streets.
Yeah, somebody should get dropped. Absolutely. There should be blood on the street. From where they're taking it, there should be blood on the streets. And if there's not, that means that they're behind closed doors. At some point, they were like, look, dog, go in on me. I ain't tripping. And okay, I'm going to go in on you. All right, then fuck it. You know, let's go on each other. The squad knows what it is. Let's get our bread up and fuck it. Because you got to understand, how long can they stay on top?
Right.
They're at their peak. You know what I'm saying? Like, are they going to get any bigger? I doubt it. You know, they've done all that they can do. You know what I mean? They've conquered everything, you know?
Right.
So I think that this is just a play. You know, it's like WWE. You know what I'm saying? And salute to them, shit, because this is bringing dope music.
That's a fact. I felt like you were kind of alluding to it before, but what's your perspective on the Mr. Criminal thing?
He's a rat.
And so what are you basing that on exactly? There was a murder involving this dude Diablo, but I've been kind of looking on YouTube. I didn't really find any like real solid information about it. I'm guessing that you know a lot more than
I do
public.
a lot. Yeah, well, I mean, I say it because I know, you know, and can't nobody tell me any different, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I don't really want to, like, you know what I'm saying, like, really put the reasons, you know, I know because I know.
Right.
If anybody's gonna know, I know. You know what I'm saying? There's not too many people that are in this community that have that, how should I say, luxury, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I know, and it's a shame. And that's why, you know, I've publicly, you know, how should you say it? Like, just said it, like, he's a rat. Like, and he needs to own up to his shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, just own up to it, dog.
Because I was watching the video of you where there was like a small amount of controversy from the Torta song that he did, which is basically like making a bunch of little puns and references to calling Mexican chicks tortas, and there was a little bit of controversy about that. You did some videos where you basically said you thought it was goofy, but you also said like he's a solid dude, so I'm not gonna like judge him or like smear his character based on this one little stupid song. So I'm guessing that opinion changed.
Because to that point, see, well, the thing is this, right? As a man, you make your judgments based on what you've seen, what you've been through with people. You know, and up to this point, I had been through nothing but, you know, good shit with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, was he always a little egomaniac? Yeah, but what rapper isn't? You know, especially motherfuckers that have had the success that he's had. Like, you gotta understand, these guys' egos have been stroked since they were like 16, 17. They started climbing, and they've been viewed as somebody important for fucking years. So they live in this reality that isn't real. You know, like when you live in that world, dog, where all people do is compliment you, tell you how great you are, you don't know nothing else. Coming down from that mountain is impossible. You know what I'm saying? But I'm the type of dude that if I glorify you publicly, I can also tear you down publicly.
It's hard to imagine that somebody who's been around as long as Mr. Criminal would voluntarily snitch or like say things that he's not supposed to say to the cops, given that he's been around for so long. He seems like he should know how the legal system works. He definitely knows how he would be treated in the community.
Well, if you have, let me ask you something. Like, if you have the resources to avoid that and you still don't use them, that just speaks volumes to how much of a bitch you are or how fake that lifestyle that you have been portraying is. Right. But either way, either one can be true, right? But either one is a major flaw. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like now he's trying to exploit the Christian community. Like, leave God out of it, bro. You know, leave God out of it. Like, handle your business. You know, pick up them panties and own up to what you did, bro.
What would be your advice of like what he actually should do with his career?
He needs to walk away.
Really, even from the YouTuber
walk
shit.
Walk away. Let it go. There's no merit to what you're saying now. There's no truth to any word that comes out of your mouth. And from now on, all you're spitting is a negative message. What you're saying is, yeah, you can exploit a lifestyle by calling yourself criminal. You know what I'm saying? Make money off of it for years, decades and decades, exploit it. And at the minute that you can't live up to that name and title, you can tell on people and then still come back and be okay. Like, that's not a positive message to share with the youth or men under him. Like, as a man, your gospel can't be fake as a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be honest with yourself and honest with the people that believed in you. You feel what I mean? Like, I think that's, but you know, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously he's trying to run with it still. Now he's a Christian or whatever the fuck it is. But in my world, through my perspective, like, he's a bitch, man, you know, cause he ain't owning up to shit. You know what I'm saying? It would be different if he owned up to it, to me.
So you could respect him more if he were to just say, listen, I told you.
Yeah, an ounce, a little bit more, right? Because at that point, it's like, you know, you're embracing you're embracing the lesson. You know, these things happen only to people whose ego is out of control. You know what I mean? People that think they're bigger than not only themselves, but everything around them. You know what I'm saying? And people that don't hold themselves accountable are people that don't believe in reproach. Like, they think that they're so big, dog, that can't, even in their worst situations, like, they're still right. Like, nah, dog. We all need a DP. We all need a prison sentence. We all need shame in our life at one point, because as men, our ego gets so big, dog, that we forget who we are and why our purpose is here. Like, your purpose here is to lead as a man.
So y'all do DPs on the streets?
Shit. I mean, that's normal shit. Yeah.
What kind of thing could get you a DP? It's the same as like
some
black
sucker
gangs and
shit, some bitch shit. Yeah.
Shit
like,
that's not official enough that it should get you completely put off.
You know, it's different for everybody else. You know what I mean? Some people DP you for some as simple as like not showing up to the park on a weekend. Really? To where some people, you know, DP you for some serious shit. So I mean, but that's normal shit. And I mean, that to me is not like foreign language, you know? Like, DPs happen all the time, and real motherfuckers take the DPs. They don't run from them. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you got to own up to your shit. You know what I mean?
But I've had conversations with so many people that are like well-known rappers in their section or whatever, and they're just like, no, I'm not getting DP. Like,
well, because that just translates the way I say it when somebody's saying that is like, nah, I'm never gonna cross the line to where I need that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that won't happen to me.
But I can imagine that there's probably not that many people that could tell Bozo that he needs a DP.
There's not.
Yeah.
There's not. Yeah. That's rare as fuck.
I mean, it's just the way you carry yourself. I'm just assuming that.
But the thing is like this though, I'm not above it though. You know, like if it comes my way, right, from the right source, I'm not bigger than the program. Whether I'm right or wrong, whether I agree or not, I'm gonna take it. To me, I'm a man. Fuck it, let's fight. You know what I'm saying? Like I might need an ass whooping. Who knows? Shit, right? Like it's like, do you question your dad when he fucks you up? Hell nah. You know what I'm saying? So when you put yourself in that type of, because that is a vulnerable situation, right? When you have allowed people above you to judge you in that aspect, you can't run from it. You signed up for the shit. You know, in the military, they get DPs. They just don't call them that.
Right.
You know what I mean? They get hazed. They get put through that shit the Navy SEALs get. What is it, Hell Week?
Yeah, that's
Those
like
are
the
fucking
worst one.
DPs.
Yeah.
And look at what becomes of them. Like to me, dog, it's like nothing bad can come from a DP. You know what I mean? Even if you're judged wrong, motherfuckers will still respect you for taking that shit and not running from it.
Right.
You know, I don't know. People might think different. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it's like nobody's bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you only put yourself in those predicaments willingly. Nobody forces you into that lifestyle, you know?
Right.
You signed up for it. You knew the job was crooked when you took it. Like, don't be no bitch now. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
How is it that we can victimize so many people through this lifestyle, but then when we're victimized, we cry boo-hoo? Or we suffer the consequences of some shit. We're like so quick to tuck our tail in, you know?
I guess like the question would be, how much of a lesson is really being taught by somebody getting the shit beat out of them? I guess at the very least, it's like a moment that you're not going to forget about. That's going to symbolize whatever your transgression was, you know?
Yes. I think it's important, man.
Because I'm like a business owner, but then a lot of times people will be trying to like suggest like, oh, you should run a fade against this type of
Yeah, but as a business owner, you can suffer your own DPs too. It don't have to be physical.
Right.
Motherfuckers can blackball you, bro.
The IRS definitely DP'd me at some point.
Okay, then so that's what I'm saying, right? At some point, we all have DPs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That we might not feel we deserve or the opposite of that, right? But a DP is a DP. A DP means discipline. You know what I mean? Disciplinary. You know, disciplinary punishment. You know. Definitely. So we all take them in one way or another. And I'd rather take an ass whooping than fucking have my bank accounts drained. I'll tell you that right now.
Yo, yeah, for sure. I would have let 5 dudes beat the fuck out of me rather than deal with the IRS.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, you know, and dudes that. I get it, man. When dudes say I ain't going out, I ain't getting no DP, that means like I stand on business, bro. Like it's never gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it even happens to the dudes that stand on business. There might be miscommunication, a story told the wrong way, and you got to take it. And to me, fuck it, I'm with all that shit, dog. Like because I'm not above reproach for one, and secondly, like it's not like I never victimized nobody, man. It's not like when I was in the streets, I didn't prey on motherfuckers and take advantage of their weaknesses or I missed an opportunity to humiliate somebody. And to me, man, we only learn through humiliation or an ass whooping. That's the only way men learn. You can't be nice to a man and him learn a lesson. Fuck no. He grows a bigger ego. He thinks you're a bitch.
What are your thoughts on people doing hard drugs, like in the street, like people who are associated with real street shit and everything like that? If they're fucked up off meth, fentanyl, whatever it is, like that shit, I feel like running a tight program or whatever, that stuff has to be real controversial. What's your viewpoint on that?
Well, I think that, you know, somebody that, okay, so why do people use drugs? They're self-medicating from a flaw that they have, you know, either mentally, physically, right? So right away, if you're trying to keep something sacred or something profitable, you don't want that type of person involved in your business.
For sure. That's the number one kind of person that's going to talk.
That's the weakest link, you know what I mean? And through history, it's never failed. That's just what it is, you know? So I go by the facts, you know what I mean? And I just go by the reality of the situation. It's like, you know, if you have that type of weakness in you and flaw, like I want to fuck with dudes that don't need shit, man. That at the end of the day, they can look themselves in the mirror and hold themselves accountable. Like I don't want motherfuckers that'll make excuses or will run to the easiest way out. You know what I mean? The path of less resistance. Like I want to fuck with motherfuckers that are willing to take the hard way, the long way, because they know that at the end of the day, they'll come out with integrity. You know what I'm saying?
Because I've heard people say that like that shit is strictly forbidden in prison, but then in reality, it's actually fairly common.
Yeah, it's common as fuck. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not the military, you know? We're not a government institution. Like, we're street dudes, man, trying to figure it out and make something out of nothing.
Right.
So with that shit, there's going to be a lot of flaws, man. Like, why do gangs even exist? Because of, lack there of fathers or lack there of mothers, you know?
Definitely. But do you feel like you're at a point where you see all the failings of the gang lifestyle, or are you still someone who's so in love with that identity that it kind of prohibits you from looking at it judgmentally?
Nah, I judge it. I have to, right? Because I have my own circle, right? So amongst my own circle, like, I have my expectations of people. And if you don't fit my expectations, you're not around me. You know what I mean? Like, I tell my little homies right now, like, if I catch you smoking dope, lose my number. Don't come to me for shit. You know what I mean? Because it's not necessary. Like, if it's love you're looking for, you got it. I got you. You know what I'm saying? If it's a big brother figure, an uncle figure, father figure, like, I got you. Don't trip. You know what I mean? We're going to show you how to get it and get it the right way. Now, if you need more than that, then I'm not here for that, dog. You know what I'm saying? I think that we've been through so many trials and errors as a gang culture that we should know, man, what we need and what we don't, There's
got to be a lot of like edge cases though, because I feel like would you be that judgmental as someone if you knew that they were like going out partying and taking e-pills?
Oh, nah,
that's like one thing. But then if they're smoking fentanyl, you're probably looking at it a different way, even though both of these things could kind of fuck your life up.
In our community specifically, right? Even our elders, like, it's not uncommon to see your uncle take a bump with a shot of tequila.
Okay.
Like, that's just who we are. You know what I mean? It's not uncommon to be fucking back there smoking, even sherm sometimes. You know what I mean? Back in the days when I was growing up, it wasn't that uncommon. But once you stop paying bills and providing and you're letting yourself go, you're running around the street like a bum, that's different. You know what I mean? That right there says you crossed the line and you ain't coming back.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's ways to calibrate how far people are going, Like, I've done every drug damn near. You know what I'm saying? But I understood. I was just partying. I didn't want to make a party my whole life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I let it go the minute I could. You know what I'm saying? That was that.
I've had people tell me like, yeah, I've smoked heroin before. Like,
I've smoked heroin too. Crack, meth, and you name it. Like, I've done it all. But at the end of the day, like, it was to turn up, dog. It wasn't to suppress something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it was never that. You know what I mean? It was just turn up with the homies, and it was love. You know what I'm saying? And even when I took E or whatever I took, it was like, it was an occasion. It wasn't what I wanted to become.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What's your relationship with that shit now? Like, how fucked up are you willing to get at this point in your life, being older?
Well, the thing is that I don't enjoy getting fucked up like I used to no more.
Same.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point, I'm at a point where, like, I'm an early bird. Like, I have a lot of artists that try to call me at midnight to jump in the studio.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, dog, like, nah, dog. Like, I'm watching fucking Shogun, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to call it a night. Like, I enjoy my wake ups in the morning, man. I enjoy my peace. I enjoy the shit that I worked hard for.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy taking my Porsche to go get washed.
I got a lust for life. Like, I want to stay out late and I want to get up early. It's just extremely difficult to do both.
It's hard to do. Hell yeah. Yeah, like, we're in the studio. The homies are turning up, doing drugs and all that shit. I'm in the cut. Just let me know when you're ready for me to jump in. And I'll probably just be here this one night out of the week. The rest of the week's going to take me to fucking get back on track and recuperate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't doing that shit. Because at the end of the day, you got to understand, dog. Like, as a grown man, I'm not going to guess if you're trying to shoot me. And I'm not going to guess that the cops are trying to pick me up. So it's like, when I'm outside, just know, treat me a certain way, because I'm extremely paranoid. I've been through so much shit that I won't slip, dog. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to get high in the studio, possibly walk out and get smoked. Fuck no, I'm on 10 toes at all time. You know what I mean? Like, I know how they move when they want to smoke you and drop you. You know what I'm saying? So that instinct always comes in to me. Like, I'll walk into the studio and catch fools leaned out. Bro, I could have just robbed you and smoked you right here. You wouldn't even know. Or pistol whip you on camera. Like, I was never taught to slip. Like, we used to get DP'd for not having our gun on us as kids.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's on you, your upbringing, man. Like, you must feel real comfortable to be slipping like that. Like, I don't slip, man, at all.
But you feel like you're in that kind of position where you have to actively be concerned with somebody trying to do something to you?
Well, your past doesn't go away.
Right.
I mean, you gain the merit you gain for a reason. You do the prison terms for a reason. You know what I'm saying? There's guys been on this platform talking about they see me openly, they gonna do something. You know what I'm saying? So you can't never take none of that lightly. You know what I mean? You can't forget the past. Just because we're all kumbaya at this point of our life doesn't mean them dudes from the past, man, are in the same place. They might have never found happiness or fulfillment in their life. You know, they might, I know, look, you know what's crazy? I was going through comments on a post about me recently, right? And this guy that's a dude of my generation that I beefed with, funked with heavy as a kid, is commenting negative me in the comment. The comment is a week old. This fool just got stabbed to death last weekend. You know?
Wow.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
What's your emotional state when you find out about that?
Fuck them. I mean, why the fuck? Hey, fuck them. Like, I'm supposed to feel sorry? Fuck no. Like, you're still applying that pressure. I'm not dissing my rivals from my rival gangs in my city openly. Right. Fuck no, I don't do that shit. Like, I got respect for them fools. Like, we went at it, you know, I got scars to prove it. You know what I'm saying? I got dead homies to prove it. So when it comes to that shit, like, you give respect where it's due, man.
A dude, like, that I had real problems with, like, we actually fought, like, 20 years ago, killed himself recently. Damn. And I was just like, damn, I don't even got anybody to laugh about this with.
Yeah.
You know, like, it was kind of a shitty feeling of like, my life has gone in such a different direction that I didn't even, I'm sitting there kind of being like, you know what, fuck him. But
well, forgiveness is for God, man. That ain't for us.
Who do I talk to about this?
Peace ain't for us. That's for when we die, man. You got to embrace the human side of who you are. You're made of flesh, blood, and bones for a reason. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I walk around with hate in my heart. Like, people say, oh, you got to forgive. It weighs you down. It actually doesn't weigh me down. It actually keeps me on my toes, man. Yeah. It actually keeps me strong and it keeps me on point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't let myself go for a fucking reason. You know what I mean? And I'm still out here letting my nuts hang because, you know, it's for a reason. So I'm good, man. Like, all that shit, man, all that kumbaya shit, I don't know where people get it from, you know? But good luck to them pursuing that shit.
How long have you actually been out of jail or prison?
8 years now.
8 years?
8 years, yeah.
So you feel fully healed mentally from that? Like,
no.
It takes a while, right?
No, yeah. The PTSD is still there. You know, like the anxiety's still there, you know. I have a bunch of kids now, you know, because my girl's way younger than me. So we have a lot of kids and shit. We have 4 kids. And even them, you know, doing the shit they do, because my oldest is 10 and my youngest is 2.
And when we talk about waking up early, the kids will do it for you. That's your natural
when they're
alarm
bouncing
clock.
Off the walls, like, there's a point where I need to go in my bedroom, you know. And I feel it, you know what I'm saying? And I've snapped on my girl because of it, you know, like unjustifiably, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's had to bear the rage and the anger that's in me bottled up, because when you're in prison, you just bottle up everything. You know, my dad died while I was in prison, so I didn't get to mourn him. You know, you don't cry with your cellie, you don't fucking hug, and it just doesn't happen, bro. You know, my primo died while I was there. My grandma died while I was there. That all in the same turn, the 10 years when I did these 10 years straight. So, and not only that, the lockdowns, like being locked in yourself for a year straight without coming out, you know, all that shit is hard, like, to deal with. And you do suppress it as a man, but it doesn't go away. You know what I'm saying? So there's times where, like, if I'm in traffic for too long, my anxiety kicks up. You feel what I'm saying? So I don't think that I'll ever lose that, man. I don't think that shit will ever go away, because, for one, I don't seek help for it. And secondly, like, it's a reality, you know. It's a reminder of the shit that I've been through, you know. And I think that your soul keeps a record of your pain, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I don't think that your soul will ever let it go. Like, there's studies that say that a man will recover from losing his dad to recover from losing his mother. Like a man will never recover from burying his mother, but from his dad, like, yeah. And there's a reason why. Like, you come from her, you know. You come from her womb, you know what I mean? Your father might have been great and all that, but that attachment that you have, you know what I'm saying, is forever, you know?
Yeah, because you take on the role of your father as you go on in life. But then with your mom, she's the one person that no matter how tough, no matter how hardened you become through life, she's always going to be the person that, like, you kind of feel like a child when you're around her.
Well, that's your first love.
Yeah.
As a boy, the first woman that you fall in love with is your mother. Like, I remember wishing I could marry my mom when I was 4 or 5 years old. I mean, I don't think that that's foreign to anybody. Like, I remember, you know, just thinking of her in such a deep way, dog, that when I lost her, like, I lost myself, you know what I'm saying? I lost my mom young when I was a preteen, and shit, look at what happened to me, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, at the end of the day, her love still got me through it. At the end of the day, like, I was loved so much when I did have her that my confidence was able to overcome all the shit that the system was trying to do to us, you know, to break us down, and the position that I put myself in, you know. Right. But to me, even prison was a blessing, because I was out here signed to a record deal and I was still shooting shit up.
Really?
You know, so it didn't matter. Like, that shit didn't matter. Like, I was in my early 20s. And I just didn't give a fuck, dog. Like, I wanted the respect of my peers to the point where I was willing to jeopardize everything.
Do you look back on that regretfully, or is that just where you were at in life?
No, I embrace it. You know what I mean? I think that it's I I think that now I have the ability to share with my son, like, look, dog, like, take it from me. This is what it could be. And this is what it will if you go that route, you know what I'm saying? So like, now that you see me, what I've been through, like, let's get this shit right, you know? And not only that, like, I know how to balance if he were ever to go that route, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know better than to be like, nah, fuck all that. I don't want that shit in my house. Opposed to me, like, well, if you're going to turn up, at least do it in the backyard, you know what I'm saying? Or if you get stranded somewhere, I don't care how high you are or who you're with, call me so I'll pick you up. You know what I mean? Like, don't lie to me, dog. Let's if we're gonna do this, like, let's do it together to a certain extent. You know what I mean?
But how old's your son?
My son right now is 10.
Okay, so that's kind of like within the next however
Couple
many years,
yes.
you're gonna have to deal with so many different things, from the drugs to the gang shit to like whatever. Like, what kind of person you feel like you're molding him to be, knowing that you always have to counterbalance this against the reality of what he's going to be around in his
Well, the
life.
main thing that I instill is him is to learn that he needs to earn everything. You know, everything is earned. You know what I'm saying? Like, I let him understand that nothing is free. I let him understand that at any given day I can die. You know, he could lose me or his mother at any given second. Like, not even life is guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? So I let him know the understand of us loving each other and appreciating each other while we're here together. And to learn that he's gonna need to earn everything. Like, respect don't just come because, you know, you want it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's earned. But it's funny you asked that because we just had the gang conversation. Like, I want to say 2 weeks ago. You know. Because my little homies do come to my house and visit me, and like I give them clothes and shit, merch, or, you know, for whatever. They come to family barbecues, you know what I'm saying? So my neighborhood still does have a big presence in my life. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, they went to their mom and asked her still, like, hey, dad's from a gang, like, well, what's up? You know what I mean? So she told me, and I was like, well, it's time for me to pull him to the side and let him know. Like, I told him, like, look, son, like, I needed a gang because I didn't necessarily have the family that I needed, you know, at the time. Like, I was lost and my friends filled the void. I told him, but at the end of the day, you don't need that. You got me, you got moms, you got cousins, you got everything. Our family is intact, you know? Like, our family hasn't suffered any losses to where we're falling apart. And as long as you have that, you ain't gonna need nobody else.
So you wonder how much having a truly tapped in dad is going to make a difference, because like when I look at my childhood, it's like my dad didn't understand anything.
Yeah.
He didn't understand rap music. He didn't
Yes,
understand the stuff that was going on in my life, etc. He like seemingly didn't really have that much experience with like what dating was like or whatever, because him and my mom were together since he was from a super young age. And I always just wonder, like, to what extent does you telling your kid, like, hey, this gang shit is not for you, is that going to work? Especially when I'm sure he's listened to your music and he's seen the visuals, and like over time that stuff has to kind of like embed itself into his head to make him think that that shit is dope. Yeah,
well, I mean, but it's the opportunities that I present to him, right? As a father, right? Like, as a father, you got to work and put yourself in a position that you can give him other ways of letting his nuts hang. Because at the end of the day, if he feels like he has to join a gang, it's because he wants to let his nuts hang. You know what I'm saying? There's a need in him to let his testosterone take over. You know what I'm saying? So what we do, we make it a priority to put him in sports and let him compete hard. And we show up to his games and we criticize him after the games, and we hold him accountable for his practices. We hold him accountable for making weight. You know what I'm saying? So his need to compete and his need to like go at it with other men, I'm hoping is fulfilled with that.
Right.
Now, if that doesn't work, then I'm going to have to find something else.
It's interesting though, because we were just saying that like young men like to rebel against their father. Him really rebelling against his father would be being a square.
Yes.
But who knows what the rest of the world has in store for him in terms of if that would
But I think that as a father, you have to be aware of who your sons are. You need to start sizing them up from when they're little. Like my youngest son, my 2-year-old, I am scared of his ass. You know what I'm saying?
You can already tell.
Hell yeah. Like
really?
maybe not the gangster shit, but I could see that he looks up to me in such a way that it's like it's almost scary, man, because he emulates everything I do. You know, like he wants a blue rag in his hand walking around the house.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? And I get it. It's because he's seen me in the rap videos doing my shit. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. But as a man, though, it still scares me, you know? I'm like, fuck. But I'm working, you know, my situation is now like I'm working to get him the fuck away from all that shit. You know what I'm saying? To where he's not growing up in an environment where he needs to prove himself to other young boys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it is about your environment. You know what I'm saying? And it is about the type of father do you have. Like, is your father the type that's going to nurture your emotions, or you're going to have the type of father that's going to nurture the truths of the world around you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't let my little boys live in an imaginary world. You know? Like, they know they'll get smacked. Like, at my house, you get cracked.
Yeah.
If you disrespect, you're going to get smacked. Like, that's just life, right?
Because up to a certain age, you can hide the realities of the world from them. But then at a certain point, it's just going to be in front of their eyes.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference is like right now, I could tell my kid walked in on me smoking the other day, like for the first time, because I always do such a good job hiding it. She's like, why are you outside? I'm like, I was on the phone. And I was just thinking like, fuck, I'm like only a couple of years away from her being tapped in enough to know that me outside on the phone and it smells a certain way actually means something else. And then eventually you're going to have to get to the point where you explain, right now, like, or not right now, but in a couple years, I could tell her like, there's this thing called drugs and they're bad and you don't want anything to do with it. And it makes people act stupid and it makes people make bad decisions. And a lot of people who are in jail is because of bad decisions they made while they were on drugs. But then as time goes by, it's going to have to be like, yes, I've done a lot of drugs. Yes, I'll still fuck around from time to time. Like at some point you even have to have that conversation, or just because your uncle is drunk as shit at the family party, that doesn't mean that he's a bad person. That's just him not being perfect in this moment.
Yeah, Well, that's the thing, right? Like when your family is showing glimpses of that. Yeah. Whether you want your kids to grow up or not, they're growing up, dog. Yeah. Like in my family, it's happened to where my kids see an uncle that, is abusing drugs, and they just like, they have to face the harsh reality, like, damn, like my uncle ain't all there, you know what I'm saying? Or this shit's happening because, or they hear the conversation that we have, the grown-ups, like, yeah, we try to hide them as much, but how much can you hide from them? You feel what I'm saying? So I think that there's pros too to being so tapped in, because you can be so tapped in to the point where it's like, you're aware of everything going around, and like right now, for instance, in my situation, right? Like I got little homies from my hood now that are my homeboys that I ran around with sons, that we had them young, like at 14, 15, and now they're at an age where they joined the hood. You know what I'm saying? So we're in a position now, since we're still tapped in, to like be able to steer them away from certain acts that can take them all the way, or avoid like putting them in positions where they feel like they have to live up to expectations to us. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like coaching, man. You know what I mean? You got to coach your kids, but yeah, man, is it, I don't have a perfect solution to that neither. I can't say like I have it all figured out. You know what I mean? The only thing that I do know is this, like when you grow up in poor communities, you're more, how should I say, open to that type of lifestyle. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm trying to get my kids out. You know what I mean? That's my process of right now, is get them out and present them with opportunities to make financial gain as soon as possible. You know what I mean? Because with money, you don't really want to be like a lot of my little homies that are in the hood right now is because they don't have shit to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? Like their parents are really involved, or their parents are in denial.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
So I wanted to ask this, were you surprised when you saw Lefty and Roddy Rax be able to kind of put their issues to the side and do music together? Nah,
not at all, because they both been behind walls. So, it's a different aspect for like kids that you'll see kids beef that haven't been behind walls, right? Because they've never had that brotherhood. But once you've had a taste of that prison life and the South Side love that there is, it's easier for you when you get out to be open to it. You know what I'm saying? And they're intelligent guys, they're in the position they're in for a reason. Like people don't understand. There's a method to the madness of Lefty gunplay. A lot of people see him on camera and they're like, oh, they prejudge him, but they don't know that fool knows what the fuck he's doing. Obviously. Right.
And he always says the only thing that you could say about me is I get fucked up, which is like not that uncommon. He might be getting more fucked up than on some people, but
if they had this shit when I was, first signed, I was getting fucked up too, lit like a motherfucker, you know? So, I mean, fortunately they didn't have it when we were young, because shit, who knows how they judge us, but he ain't doing nothing, we ain't done. And people that say that shit are people that ain't in the lifestyle, man. Right. You gotta understand, the social media opens doors for a lot of fucking squares to try to talk tough and act hard, you know what I'm saying? And they get away with it, so they do. You know what I mean? But I don't pay no mind to that shit. I'll be in the comments clowning back. You know what I mean? Like they can't do nothing worse to me than what I've been through. No insult can hurt me more than the fucking insults that I've had on the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like those shits come with bullets, you know what I'm saying? So
definitely.
Social media shit is it's a cakewalk, man. It ain't none.
How do you feel about Roddy Rax saying that he would do a video with a norteño or a song?
I heard his perspective on it. You know what I mean? And I think that that's wishful thinking on his behalf, you know? That shit will never happen. They can't stand us, man. You know, and they will forever not stand us. Even if, you know, the day comes that one has reached that, you know, peace in his heart where, you know, he doesn't have no animosity towards us, then, I mean, I guess I see where he's coming from. But at the same time, it's like, you know, at one point, are you willing to make new friends and disappoint your true friends? Like, to me, that's what it comes down to. Like, what do I gain from making peace with those individuals over there? Not a motherfucking thing, dog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that artist might have peace in his heart and a trickle of them might have it, but are they all gonna raise up and fucking worship us for the, no, man. So, you know, you gotta weigh out your pros and your cons. You feel what I'm saying? And to me, their demographic ain't that important to me.
When I did that band's interview, he was really advocating for the idea of doing a song with Lefty Gunplay where they didn't have to be in the studio together. They didn't have to shoot the video together, but they could both get on the same beat, and then he'd record his part of the video and Lefty could record his part of the video, and then they could put it out and really let the fans decide who they thought did the best. Do you think
Baz needs to worry about his own shit, man?
Do you think that's a plausible idea?
No, it's not that shit. He's a fucking moron for even thinking that stupid ass shit. That's some dumb online shit. You see where we've got to?
Right.
To where motherfuckers think we could play Xbox on live? Like, nah, dog. Like, get the fuck out of here. Leave the homie alone, man. Mark your own way. Do your own shit, man. You know, like, take pride in that shit. Stop trying to fucking leech off of us. Like, stop trying to use us as a pathway to something. Like, dog, make your own fucking way. That's the way it's really gonna boom. That's the way you're really gonna become a fucking legend where you're from. Do your own shit. Say fuck the other side all you want. Let your fucking nuts hang, dog, and do your shit. Like, all this gimmicky shit is for suckers, man. That's just me. You feel what I'm saying? I could be wrong, man. And maybe that's why I'm not bigger than what I should be. But fuck, I'm happy in my life, you know? I'm happy with the respect of my peers. I'm happy with the loyalty that I've always demonstrated towards my side. And I will continue to do that shit because that's what I'm about.
It seems unlikely because I feel like the two artists would have to feel like they were on the exact same level of popularity that it would make sense. And that's really unlikely.
Okay, you just said it right now. He hasn't gained that, man. You know, a street fighter isn't going to call out Canelo and get a fair fight.
Right.
That shit has to be warranted. Earn that shit, dog. Like, get to the point where you're in the big leagues, dog. You're still a G League player right now, baby. You know, like, let's be realistic. Like, how does it sound me fucking calling out somebody like Benny the Butcher? Like, let's have a bar for bar battle right now. Who in the fuck am I? You're right, but people aren't realistic. People's ego gets ahead of their reality, dog. Like, let's be real, dog. Like, no, dog, no, you ain't there yet, dog. You know what I'm saying? And you can't even buy that shit. You know what I mean? So, cut it out, man. Man, I'm telling you, kids, man. You know what I'm saying?
Do you respect Gold Toes? Basically, it seems like he's kind of the person that's made the most inroads in terms of like being able to form some relationships with people down south. It feels like he kind of has the best mentality that you could have for that, where he's just trying to be conciliatory, trying to get everybody on the same page.
Well, he's trying to exploit our merit. You know, and I can't knock him for that. As a businessman, right? I can't knock him for that. Why wouldn't you? It's like telling me what I want to. Let me see. Well, I would never do no shit like that. But I'm saying it's like if he knows that it's popping over here, why wouldn't he want to attach himself to it as a business model, right? Like, let's be real, bro. Like, how many northern rappers have ever blew up? None. To this day. And we've been doing this shit going on, what, 30 fucking years? Not one has popped off. You know what I'm saying? Of course they're going to want to attach themselves to us because that's the profitable way to go. The margin for success is down south, right? Because we support our artists and we love our artists. You know what I'm saying? They can say they rap better and all that shit. You can't prove it. You know what I mean? They're not selling out tours like the homies are. You know what I mean? They're not getting the collaboration that the homies are getting. They're not getting the views that the homies are getting. So where's the proof to that? So as a businessman, I get it. You know what I mean? Is it genuine? No. If somebody thinks it is, come on, man, you're stupid to think it's genuine. Like, if they were on top, would they look back to us and reach out? Fuck no. They'll let their nuts hang just like we are. You feel what I'm saying? So we just got to be realistic and honest about this shit now. You know, I would never sit at a table with that man because I don't need nothing from that man. You know what I'm saying? And would I ever do a deal with him? Nah. because my side has enough opportunities for me, and I'm loved on my side. So, you know, I will never go without. My side takes care of me. You know what I'm saying? Now for him, yeah, it's a smart business move. Hell yeah. But is it reality? Is it going to work? No, it ain't going to work, dog.
Do you think I'm taking too much of a risk or doing something kind of out of pocket by being willing to platform Norteño rappers?
Well, this is your business, man. You know, you have a business. Now, let me ask you this. Do restaurants fucking ask what side you're from before they serve somebody?
Right.
No, I mean, now, if you had a political gain, right?
Right.
Or somebody, there's an ulterior motive to why you're bringing, like, to the way I see it, man. This is an equal platform for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Where we got to draw the line is where, like, you know, we're instigating wars on the streets, right? Or shit like that. But when it comes to music, it's like, man, like, they're artists from that side. You know, we're artists from this side, and this is a platform for artists. So how the fuck are you gonna say, no, like, you're from, that's you taking our side?
But the moment where I was like, oh, okay, I can see how this could get complicated for me is when I saw like a clip from a music video of some rappers from up north, and one of the bars was something like, we was up in No Jumper 50 deep or some shit, and I'm like, oh, okay. They're gonna take the fact that they were even welcome here and kind of use that as a way to punk other people. But we laugh at that shit though,
because our hoods are up there, like I told you. Our embassies are up there. That's sucker shit. That to me just tells you how desperate they are to have something over us, bro. Like No Jumper. Like, do you brag about when you go to Disneyland? What the fuck, bro? Like, brag about that shit on one of your verses.
Anybody can go to Disneyland.
Everybody comes to LA to visit.
Getting an invite on here, they look at it as like a kind of prestigious thing.
I understand, but I'm saying, you know, it's. Come on, dog. There's a gang of Northerners that visit down here. You know what I mean? They're gonna post every time, like, it's a bragging right. That's how important our side is. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's like, whether they want to or not, even with their insults, they compliment us. And they need to stop it, man. Like, if you don't want dudes like me clowning you for it and you know, and exploiting it for what it is, then just stop, man.
But let's get into a hypothetical too. Say everything happened exactly the same with that interview that I did or whatever, and then let's just say that they were out doing their thing the next day and they ended up getting into a shootout. I mean, the narrative spinning would be 100%. No Jumper caused this. No Jumper. Like, regardless,
I wouldn't say that.
The interview could be exactly the same, right? You might not say it, and realistically, I think like anybody with a brain probably wouldn't say it. But
that's a stretch.
They
man.
would for sure. Like, there would be people trying to push that narrative.
That's what the internet does, right?
Yeah.
The internet stretches. They reach for the fucking easiest thing to create some type of because everybody wants to be that guy that said it first.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, everybody wants to be the guy that did it first. Like, oh, I called it. It's like, dog, that shit. But they won't do that.
And now everybody gets the thing that like people like me and academics and shit have known for a long time, which is that like if there's a topic to be discussed, you need to kind of sit back and think, okay, what's the unique perspective that I can have on this? What's the thing that I can say that other people aren't saying that they will agree on or whatever? And that can kind of like now everybody does that. Everybody, as soon as an event happens, they're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, they're trying to think of like, what's the thing I can say about this that's going to make everybody pay attention to me?
Yeah, well, you know, it's your guys' job to like figure that out, right? But it's also our job to communicate that to you guys, like how far you could take it and and how far you can't, you know what I'm saying? So there has to be a mutual respect towards each other for you guys on your platforms and us that are the topic of the platforms, you know what I'm saying? And I think that you guys are only going to take it as far as people let you,
right?
With reason, you understand what I'm saying? Like if it's reasonable, like how's a man of logic going to turn down something that might avoid somebody getting killed, dog? You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, like people getting smoked doesn't benefit you no way, not even with views,
right,
or streams. Like that's just bad, if anything, bad juju coming your way, you know what I'm saying? And then you guys start creating real enemies because then you're taking sides,
right? And
who the fuck wants to do that? And a war that doesn't benefit them, like fuck all that shit, you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. Like, I mean, and really like what I have to gain from interviewing like a random underground rapper realistically is like a very tiny amount of money and like a tiny amount of attention, and most of the attention realistically when I interview a rapper from up north is like, I mean, they're hyped, but then there's like a bunch of food pages, all the media is like kind of down here, and those are the people that are more likely to be critical about it or whatever.
Hell yeah.
But for sure, I'm like trying to be mindful when I have those conversations of like, I don't want to like be asking questions that are pushing people to say anything disrespectful, because then I could be looked at as being part of it. Like even when I interviewed bands, I was saying like he was kind of saying a bunch of shit about how comfortable he was down here and how he could move around, and I was kind of like, I know you're sneak dissing, like we got to acknowledge this right here, because he's not like mega sneak dissing, but he's like kind of making it sound like, oh, there's nothing for me to worry about.
Yeah, but he was programming with the homies in Corcoran, the new Corcoran.
Oh, really?
So he needs to just cut it out. He needs to just come and admit that too. Like he was on BR programming with the homies.
What's that mean exactly?
Excuse me?
What's that mean exactly?
Programming, like doing time on the same yard with them.
Oh, okay.
You know, like respectfully, you know, because that's what the agreement they had at that time there. So cut it out, bro. I mean, for guys that have done that, they need to just stop, man. You know what I mean? Like with the super sneak dissing. But for guys like me in my era that we didn't, you know, like fuck it. We talk the way we talk, but he just needs to be honest. But I know he's trying to please his side too. You know what I'm saying? By coming out here talking about that they'll beat up Lefty for $10,000. Like my boy, you know, goddamn well it will never happen. Never. Now I don't know what world you're in, like how far you've gotten to entertainment where you think these are sanctioned fights, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, cut it out, man. You shouldn't even be saying that shit, boy. Like, that's just you and your imagination trying to feed off the homies' fame. And they are clout chasing. Come on, the purest form. You just said it. That interview didn't do nothing. What did Lefty's interview do?
The Lefty one was pretty big.
Okay, then you see what I'm saying? So we got to calibrate it on that aspect. It's like, who's benefiting?
In general, though, it's like I try to not really be stressed out about how the interview is going to perform. I just feel like if it's an important conversation or it's a relevant personality, I try to just be like, whatever, it'll make sense in the long run. Yeah.
Well, they you know, and they need us. That's why they're over here. You know what I mean? It's pretty simple to see, you know.
Why have you taken aim at Jenny 6ix9ine? What is she not doing right?
It's not that I've taken aim, okay? I'm just gonna.
You've had some opinions.
Well, oh yeah, exactly. See, it would be different if the girl wasn't putting herself out there. If I'm talking about her personal business, shit that I don't know, right? It's not even like that. I'm just going by what she's putting out there, okay? Like what I'm putting out here now. People are gonna judge it. I don't get mad about it. People make all kinds of shit about me. You'll never see me upset. It's like when my family tells me like this: if you don't want your personal life to become a circus, don't give them a front row seat. You feel what I'm saying? So that's all I've said is like, look, for one, all she's demonstrated is what she is and what she isn't. So what she is an opportunistic woman looking for the best financial gain for herself. Okay? She's not a woman that cares about loyalty, family values, or integrity. You feel what I'm saying? She doesn't have loyalties to nobody. What her loyalty is materialistic. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing I've said is like, she's a glorified slut, which I think we can all fucking agree on. You know what I'm saying?
Well, she dresses in the way that, like, realistically, most of the black female rappers are dressing at this point.
Okay.
She looks good. She's using that to her advantage, right?
Okay. I describe that as slutty.
Okay, that's fair.
Right? Okay. All right. And then, you know, because of her popularity, she'll exploit it to where one day she has a gang of Southsiders in the video. She's acting gangster tough. And then in another video, she's being romanticized by an older northerner. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, that's who she is. And we just need to accept it. That's all I've said. You know what I mean? She's glorified for the slutty behavior. And she's nobody to my side. That's the biggest point I was trying to make. Like, they try to use her as a badge of honor in a video. And it's like, bro, cut it the fuck out. Like, nobody gives a fuck. That's it. That was my observation. And I could be wrong. Maybe Gold Toes, you know, meant riding around LA in a red Impala, flamed up in the purest way possible, looking for peace and brotherly love. But when you show me that type of shit, I see it for what it is, man. I ain't on no sucker shit. I ain't no dummy.
So that's basically as far as Gold Toes is going to go in terms of the sneak this and shit?
But I mean, hey, you know, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's cool. You don't see us going out of our way to do that shit because to us it's not important, man.
Would you, let's say things were tweaked a little bit differently and she was more of an avowed SS representer, would you be more like on board with what she has going on, or is there something about her that you consider distasteful in general?
Well, you know, there is no female representative of the SS, and there never will be.
So there's no chicks in it at all?
There is, but not representatives.
Oh, okay.
You know, they don't represent us.
The Crips are happy to take women in, right?
Well, I mean, hey, that's their business.
Okay.
You know, that's them. But as far, yeah, that's them, man. But as far as us, man, like, nah, man, you know, that's not even possible.
Really? Okay. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that like women are kind of put in a totally different category.
Well, they're the homegirls. You know, they play their part and we love them.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. And the homegirls that harness that loyalty, man, we treat them well, we respect them and love them. But for leadership, we ain't gonna look to no female,
Right. Definitely. There was I hate to keep bringing Lefty up, but I feel like this started like a conversation. He said that he would do anything before he had a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
Do you think that's like a bad message for the kids these days?
Is it a bad message for the kids? Yes, but is it his reality? It's his reality. And he'll learn from that. Hopefully he doesn't ever need a 9-to-5. I have. I fucking funded all my own music through 9-to-5s. And when the time comes that I want to walk away and fade away, I'll go back to a 9-to-5. You know what I'm saying? And I know 9-to-5ers that make way more money than these rappers. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot, to be honest with you, like way more, So to each his own. I mean, that's his reality, man, and hopefully he speaks it into fruition, you know what I'm saying? But would I say that? Nah. Because to me, like this fame, it comes with spoils and riches and shit, but it also comes with a lot of worse shit than having a 9-to-5. Like if you were to tell me the pros and cons of being famous, fuck no. I'd rather have a 9-to-5 any given day, because at least with the 9-to-5, you're always gonna keep the respect of your loved ones intact, man. Nothing's ever gonna happen for you to jeopardize that. And furthermore, the day you want to close your door to the world, you do. And it's just that simple.
And everybody likes to romanticize like owning your own business.
Yeah.
But as a person who owns my business, I can tell you
that's just hard as fuck.
When a lawsuit comes in, every single person who works for me doesn't have to worry about it, but I got to worry about it. And when, like if the fucking roof caves in, which, the roof was leaking, that 50 grand or whatever that I had to spend on that shit, that was all on me. I look at a lot of people I know who got good jobs, and I'm like, you just go to work every day and you get to make X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got pensions, all that
don't
shit.
look down on the business owner, because the business owner is the one who, yes, when things are going really good, he gets to benefit, but then he also has to deal with all the other shit.
It does look good, but fuck, like from personal self, like I had businesses fail during COVID and all that shit. Like it's not easy. That shit's heart wrenching, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if your family's dependent on that there only, fuck, that's rough, dog.
Right.
That shit puts a man in I've been through depression for like a week or two behind losses, It's hard to like accept that shit when it's hard to accept the loss of something that you've worked so hard for. Because what's the first thing people will tell you is like, if you work hard enough, it'll succeed. That's not always true.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You have to have the right idea and then work hard at that idea.
Yes.
And then you also need everything else to go into place.
You need a lot of shit to go
because reality is, if you come up with a great idea for a fucking new type of restaurant, you are going to have everybody else who is capable of running this kind of business just taking aim at you and deciding like, I want his spot, whether that means smearing his character or that means, or stealing, never mind, or just opening up a fucking clone of that same thing a couple blocks away. You're just going to have to deal with all this shit.
No, it's a heavy load to carry, man. So, hey, to each his own, man. I would, what I would say to the youth, man, is stay out the way, man. Is stay the fuck out the way as much as possible, because your message doesn't even matter. Your intention doesn't even matter a lot of times. It's other people's circumstance that matters how much hate you get. The more sad people there is in the world, the more angry people there is in the world, the more they're gonna hate you. You know what I mean? So if you're in a cesspool of bitterness and failures and depression, like you're gonna suffer from that no matter how good you're trying, you know what I'm saying? And I think we could see it like with our history, like look at Nip, like a good dude, did so much shit, they knocked him off like he was nobody. So to me, it's like, stay out the way, man. Try and be the biggest star in your home, in your household, with your family. You know what I mean? Because people will call you anything, the worst things. And it's even worse when you don't have flaws. It's almost like the more righteous you are, the more disgusting things people will say about you.
Right. Once you've been canceled and smeared a couple of times, it actually is like kind of like a more comfortable place to be, because
you're used to it.
When you see like the worst cancellation you'll ever see on Twitter will be like some actor who's never had anything sketchy go on with his name ever. That is the dude who will be piled on the most, so fucking hard, because he, a tape leaked of him smacking a girl's ass or saying an inappropriate word or some shit. Whereas like for me and you, the standard that it would take to cancel us and get us out of here is way different, because people are going to regard us as being open about being flawed. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, look at Mel Gibson.
Exactly.
Mel Gibson did Passion of the Christ and everybody shit on him. like he wasn't, like he wasn't doing something good, man. So yeah, it happens. But like I said though, stay out the way. You stay out the way of this gang shit. You stay out the way of this materialistic, like fame-driven lifestyle. You'll be okay, man. Ain't nothing wrong with being humble, man. Ain't nothing wrong with being humble. Ain't nothing wrong with being content with just loving your household. Like, trying to get strangers to love you is impossible, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not even, I don't think anybody's been capable of that. And is it worth it? I don't think it's worth it. I bought the most fashionable clothes to the most affordable clothes, and they both feel the same. I've drove in buckets and I've drove in foreigns, and they both feel the same.
Right.
When I'm happy, when I'm happy inside, you feel what I'm saying? When I got a good place to put my head at and lay my head to rest, it's straight. Like, I hate the fact that you know, I live in a city where I can get smoked. You know, like, it's never comfortable for me. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I go to shows, I gotta move like the army, you know what I'm saying? It's always it tugs at your heart, especially when you're kissing your kids before you leave the house. You know what I mean? It's like it's always a constant battle with, like, fuck, is it worth it or is it not? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you want to aspire to fulfill your dreams, but a lot of times, man, you got to put your shit to the side to fulfill the dreams of your children and your loved ones. You know what I mean? Like, yours ain't the only ones that are important, you know?
Definitely. Is there ever a thought in your head that's like, maybe I should just not be in this kind of environment?
Yes. There's always a thought in my head that, cause I came home from prison and it was like, I had this mentality of, like, I had unfinished business, you know? Like, fuck, I passed up an opportunity that could have possibly changed my family's life. You know what I'm saying? So I got back into it eager, you know what I mean? And ambitiously, right? But going through the trials and tribulations of this shit, for one, I failed to realize that I would reignite old beefs and old hate towards me. You know what I'm saying? And then I failed to realize that my principles in my era are way different than the ones now. So when I'm trying to implement my principles in the current era, it's taboo and I'm hated for it.
Really?
But all my life, I was taught that being righteous and being solid is the way to go. Being a team player is always the way to go. You feel what I'm saying? Being loyal is above everything. Well, now it's almost like loyalty is a weakness now. You know what I'm saying? People consider it a weakness. People try to judge you for being loyal. You know what I mean? It's like, the more disloyal you are, the more you're rewarded in this world. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look at artists that had it popping, right? They thought that their best way to blow up was to beef with everybody, show the disloyalty, you know what I mean? And that was a communication of the phones, you know, views and streams and all that shit, right? And look at how it failed them. You understand what I'm saying? So now there's like, you know, before you could at least say, like, okay, my moral compass can lead me to this way. Now your moral compass will fail you no matter which way you're pointing it. You know what I mean? So I failed to underestimate that. And then, you know, I think that you gotta weigh out materialism with true happiness. You know what I'm saying? It's like, do I really need that much money to be happy? No, I really don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I have $100K in my bank account for the year, plus what I'm making at my 9 to 5, I'm straight, man. I know we're not gonna fail. You know what I mean? I know there's food on the table. I can take my kids to the trips they want. Me and my wife, we can take a vacation every 6 months and we're straight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be spending fucking $1,000 on a pair of shoes to be happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to be sitting at the Nobu, turn up. Like, I went through a phase where I was in a strip club every weekend. Me and my girl, both of us, like, turn the fuck up. All the strippers, I'm bro, she sis. You know, every promoter hitting me up on the weekends. You coming through? Yeah, I'm coming through. I'm there, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was like, the next morning we were neglecting our kids because we were hungover. You know what I'm saying? The kids are up happy. It's a fucking Saturday, beautiful morning, and I'm right there recovering. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's a terrible feeling.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, opposed to, like, right now, like, I get up and you know, I take advantage of my weekends because my kids ain't in school and I'm not up all night. Like, for school days, for one, my kids love me to drop them off in my foreign. I got the sickest car in the lot.
Really?
You know what I mean? So right away, in the morning, they're fighting for who's going shotgun.
You got the car seat in there?
No. Well, they're big enough to. That's for the other car. That's for the SUV. You know what I'm saying?
I got a car seat in my car now.
Yeah. So there's that aspect, and I feel like the shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the cool dad.
Right.
And then on the weekends, let's go do this and this and that. Like, let's go do it. Now, once a month, I might pop off. You know what I mean? I might pop off once a month or once every 2 months. But and honestly, like, I could give a fuck because even at the club, it's more fake love. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who's popping? Who wants to be around you? Who wants to take a picture? Most of them dudes taking pictures with you at the club ain't even downloading your album. You know what I mean? They're just trying to exploit the cloud of being around you. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of times I'll have a bunch of people take a photo of me in the club or whatever, and they're acting like they love me so much, and then I click on it on their Instagram story. They don't even follow me. They never messaged me before, and it's like, I was just available, right? Like, you would have been fanning out on any rapper.
Yeah, well, you're Mickey Mouse at Disneyland. Everyone wants to take a picture of Mickey Mouse, the fake one. You know what I'm saying? At Disneyland, that's what it turns into, man. So it's fake love. You know, you want fake love or you want real love? You know what I'm saying? I want the real shit. I want everything real. You know what I mean? Everything to its purest form.
Because you got to respect networking and the concept of like going out and meeting people and shit. But realistically, once I'm in that environment, usually I get reminded, unless I'm fucked up, I get reminded like, this isn't who you are. Like, you're not really good at being in these environments and having fake ass conversations with people that just want something out of you. But then also, if you get loaded, that shit is pretty fucking easy to
it's
manage.
All day, man.
If I'm drunk, I could be having a conversation with whoever.
Well, you'll avoid a gang of motherfuckers when you're sober. You'll avoid all the trickery and all the fuckery when you're sober. You'll see through it. And not only that, your discipline, your diligence will get you away from circumstances that could possibly take your life with fake love. You know what I'm saying? Look, even when I went out to the clubs, I was never the dude that closed down the bar or the strip club. Like we were like an army, like an hour before close time. Hey, we're out of here, because I already knew when everybody walks out and the air hits everybody, that's when the shootouts happen. Really? That's when people are getting jumped in the parking lot. That's when everybody's ready. You know what I'm saying? So it was always coordinated. Like at some point, I know I reached my high and my whole squad, 50 deep, all gunners. Let's go. We out this bitch. Why? Because I'm thinking about myself and I'm also thinking about my brothers. I don't need them catching a body over me. You know what I'm saying?
That's some real shit.
So yeah, you gotta move right, man.
So where do you feel like you're at in your life right now? What's the most important shit to you? Obviously we talked a lot about family and everything, but in terms of business and everything that you're motivated to work on, what really stands out? Well,
I'm seeing the impact that I'm having in my community, right? Like, you know, with like, how can I say it, man? With the men that have been looking for somebody to relate to and to inspire them. And to me, the men in the household right now, the fathers, the uncles, the big brothers, you know, the older sons are the ones that are important for me to inspire. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm seeing that I'm having this effect on men that to me is important. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, I talk a lot about family even on my social media. I don't hide from the fact that I'm a family man. You know what I'm saying? I don't hide the fact that I've worked, that I've had to have 9 to 5s to get where I'm at and invested in myself. So, you know, I really appreciate the love that I'm getting back. Like they just rewarded me with a mural downtown LA. And to me, it was like, wow, dog, dope. I got that while I'm alive. You feel what I'm saying? And my family got to see it. My kids got to see it. My little homies got to see it. My whole gang. You know what I'm saying? So to me, like that type of leadership, whether the outside world comments on my YouTube channel or on Instagram aren't always perfect, I could give a fuck. In my community where I exist, where I really grew up at, I'm having a positive influence, you know? So to me, like I want to keep pushing that forward and exploring that as much as I can, because I think that it's the best legacy you can leave behind. You know what I'm saying? Is to encourage other men to be real men. You know what I mean? And therefore, when men are happy in their household, the women are happy in their house. When it trickle effects, you know, then the kids are right. So I'm trying to promote more family values than single values. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that that's our biggest enemy in our communities, that, you know, women get rewarded for being single with fucking welfare checks, you know, and men get rewarded with fucking self-gratification by, you know, their egos by trying to be with as many women as they can, dog. So it's a toxic cycle that we've created. You know what I'm saying? Like for us, you know, my community, like it was always important for us to love like our women, you know, like even amongst the homeboys, we'll fight if you try to talk to my girl. Like we valued our women, we cherished them, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, we went through the phase of cheating on them, but eventually when we met the one, we valued the one, we had our kids and we settled down, you know what I'm saying? And somewhere along the line, that's been getting lost, you know? Like everybody wants to be a boss, whether it's a boss bitch or a boss hustler, whatever the fuck the men call themselves. I think that those values are lost. And I think that, that family structure is what allows you to survive from the street wars, you know, and the convictions, is having a purpose that's bigger than yourself. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at. You know, my music, yeah, I still talk a lot of gang shit, and you know, I still glorify my past as far as street shit, but I also have an understanding that I know that men don't want to be led by domesticated men. You know, like we still want to be inspired by that warrior mentality, by that alpha male type of energy. You feel what I'm saying? But when the music's turned off, what's the real message? You know what I mean? What are we really putting out there? So this last album that I just dropped, Southside Logo, has been real good to me. And I'm just looking to keep pushing it. Like, you know, I've been with Lefty's camp with OTR and them Soulless, and they presented me opportunities, you know what I'm saying? Just based on, like I said, merit and the impact that I have on the youth, like Lefty. You know, Lefty, when I'm around, he treats me like a big brother. You feel what I'm saying? And to them, I think that that's big because Lefty comes from a young neighborhood where all his older homies are just young like him. So it's kind of hard for him to like, to how can I say it, man? Like to regard them as big brothers, you know what I'm saying? Opposed to like somebody my age that's been through the shit he went through, went to prison, came back, bounced back. Because honestly, the odds to even get to where I'm at now are fucking insane.
Right.
You know, for me to even be here, what I'm doing right now, coming from the place I came from, you know what I'm saying? You got to think 2005, I got sentenced to a long term, like double digits, you know?
Right.
And I did a decade and I bounced back pretty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Impressively, you know what I'm saying? If I don't say so myself, you know, my wife hasn't worked for 8 years, you know what I'm saying? Like I've been doing it all on my own, taking care of my family and still doing my music shit, you know? So, I think that, yeah, like I take pride in being that big brother, man. Like the one that's been there, done that, and is still here swinging for the fence, you know?
Right.
And that's just who I want to be. You know, I want to inspire my community and give a good example. And, you know, whenever I can, let my nuts hang because of it, you know?
Definitely.
Fuck it. I still need to boost my own ego too, you know what I mean?
No, yeah. I got a shitload of respect for you. I think you're an amazing personality, especially on podcasts and shit like that. Like you should really like, do you do any kind of like consistent podcast thing?
I don't because I'm just not ready yet, man. You know what I'm saying? I feel like for one, I want to find the right avenue towards that. You feel what I'm saying? Like I know that I can't do what you do.
You don't think?
No, like to me, like maybe, but in a certain aspect, you know what I'm saying? Like when people know that they're coming to talk about certain topics, you know, like it has to be aimed in the right direction. Like as far as like where we're going with the message and what we're talking about. Like I don't necessarily want to be talking about street beefs and all that shit because I've been there, done that. You feel what I'm saying? And to me, it's like I feel like that's what the first thing that people go towards. You know, I don't think that in podcasts people really dig deep into who these individuals are and what they're really doing on the street. Like, so when that time comes, you know, I want to strategize it right. If that comes, you know?
That was something that American Cholo was saying to me. He was just kind of giving me shit, but he was like, oh, you know, you want to interview Lucky from Hoodstocks just so you can ask him about the fucking Lefty Gunplay shit or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, Cholo, you know the way I do an interview is I'm going to sit there and do a 2-hour conversation with this dude. And yeah, at some point I'm going to say, let's talk about this argument that you had with Lefty, but I'm not trying to make that the fucking whole thing. But a lot of times when I sit down and have an interview with somebody, they will be surprised that I'll spend 45 minutes talking about their childhood or their early on like formative years and shit. And I'm like, listen, I'll try to get to some bullshit by the time we get to the end of this thing, but I'm not trying to like make that the entirety of the whole thing. But I feel like a lot of people, it's just low hanging fruit. It's the easiest thing for them to just have the most basic conversations about beef and shit like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that shit sells, man. You know, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the easiest product to sell to people, you know, is drama. People love fucking drama, man. Like we grew up as Hispanic communities watching soap operas all fucking day. That's just what we do. So, you know, our communities, we love the drama, man. And you know, a lot of people try to downplay it like, oh, you're a comadre, chismoso and all that. Dog, we were brought up this way. Like, cut it the fuck out.
But what's crazy too, though, is that there will be like a TikTok of you saying something aggressive about Norteños or whatever at some point, and people will act like that was the entirety of this conversation, as if we didn't just spend 2 hours talking about our families and what men need to do with their lives and petting the fucking dog and all this kind of shit, you know? Which is but I think that in the reality is that long, like uncut conversation is actually what people are showing up for, because they actually really want to hear like real ass conversations, even if it's going to be the tiny little clip of somebody saying something aggressive sounding. That's going to be the thing that gets shared.
All we can do is hope. You feel me? That's what they're here for, like to learn something. Because I know that's why I listen. You know, like I have conversation with my elders and hoping that they plant that seed in me, something that I don't see. You know what I mean? Because only men that have been through trials and tribulations can open your eyes to to the warning signs of things to come in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like even with relationships, you know what I'm saying? Like at home with your wife and shit, how you delegate her and how you inspire her and she inspires you. You know what I mean? Like women are emotional, we're physical. Like your wife needs to suck you and fuck you the right way for you to be a certain way, opposed to you needing to talk to your woman and treat her a certain way for her to be inspired. You feel what I'm saying? Like there's just dynamics that youngsters can't tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That young people don't know. You feel what I'm saying? But when you've been through some shit, you learn, man, that it's not just as simple as marrying the finest little bitch that you could find. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
a recipe for disaster.
Hell yeah.
You pick
always.
the hottest chick in the club and you're like, that's going to be my girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to lose, man. You're thinking with your dick. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to think with your soul. You know what I mean?
And there's a reason why she probably don't already have a man.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a headache.
Yeah, like dudes always think that the quietest chick is because, they're innocent, dog. That between the ears, there's a lot going on, man. Like these chicks been through a gang of shit. And when you close that door at home, it's going to come out. The insecurities, the toxic shit, you know what I mean? The lack of communication, the mom or daddy issues, you know? You're a psychologist at that point, you know what I mean?
I had that happen to me multiple times in my life where there would be like a chick from the bar and I was like used to like bringing her home from the bar a couple times and fucking her and shit. But she's so hot that my brain is like, she got to be all right, right? Like
you're overlooking a gang of
shit. You got to kick it with her when she's sober and see what she's actually really like. And then you kick it with them sober and they're trying to get drunk immediately. Yeah. And you just realize like, there's a reason why they're out at the bar 4 or 5 nights a week getting fucked up is because they're not happy. They don't got it all together. They would not be the kind of person that you'd want to be with, even though they look good.
Yeah, I was always afraid of the chicks that said they didn't have no female friends.
Oh yeah, that's a big
I don't got no homegirls. I don't trust bitches. Bitch, they don't trust you. Fuck out of here with that shit. Like, stop it. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. So
tiny microscopic chance that they are just such a good person and they haven't met any other good girls, but much more likely that you're
not here though in LA.
Yeah.
Like how the fuck don't you meet a gang of people? You know what I'm saying? Like we're a cesspool of fucking society, man. Like we have overwhelming amount of people around us to be like secluded and be not social, you know what I mean? It's like it takes a lot out here not to fuck with people. Like you come outside, man, and that's the one thing that I learned, like living in other states. I lived in Colorado for a minute, and it's like people just aren't social like we are out here, you know what I'm saying? Like
because we're all crammed in versus Colorado, there's a lot more space between people. And then you go to New York City. Yeah. Oh my God. Like, you'll see more people standing on a corner in the Lower East Side than you'll see even in like the most hectic parts of LA in like, many, many hours. Like it's just, they're so crammed together and it's interesting to see how they sort of adapt to be able to survive around each other, which is mostly by ignoring each other. Yeah. From my perspective, like people just don't even look up at each other and say hi or anything like that. Whereas, because this is a car city as well, which makes it way different, is that New York, you get on that subway and you're sitting next to some hipster chick, you're sitting next to a Hasidic Jew, you're sitting next to some 18-year-old black kid with headphones on, like you just like get used to surviving around all these different types of people in one place, whereas LA is much more sectioned off. Everybody's kind of in their own little world.
Yeah, we got the cultures have their own cities, everybody's culture, like there's always like a place for each, how can I say, like ethnic background almost, like you got Koreatown, you got East LA, you got Watts, and it's like we all have our own little land that we claim, you know what I'm saying? Right. And to me it's dope, man. Like, it's hard for me to leave Cali, and trust me, I think about it a lot. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because of, the cost of living and shit, the way things are going, but man, it's hard to leave, man. I love it out this motherfucker.
That's a fact. Bozo, I got nothing but respect for you, man. You're a great conversationalist, podcaster, and glad that we are on the same page at this point. Thank you for tolerating my dog, Ralphie.
I'm a dog lover, shit.
All up in your shit.
I think he knows that. Dog's known.
He knows.
He sized me up right away.
All right, thank you so much, man. I appreciate your time.
No doubt.
Bozo, go check my man out on all streaming services. No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Check us on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon. Like, comment, and subscribe. NoJumper.com if you want to support.